Chapter 2300. Rumble. The human emperor's sword chi contained the power to destroy the heavens and earth. The sword chi was so sharp that no one could block it. In an instant, it enveloped Zhao Ritian. Puff! 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 Bloody light flashed on Zhao Ritian's body. Streaks of blood appeared on his body. His flesh was cut open by the human emperor's sword chi. In the end, only a crystal-clear skeleton was left. Zhao Ritian's skeleton was unexpectedly strong. It exuded an immortal glow. When the human emperor's sword chi slashed on his skeleton, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Sparks flew in all directions, but it did not leave a single mark. Why am I not willing to attack you? Who am I? Zhao Ritian knelt in the void. His sunken eyes were filled with confusion and sorrow. At this moment, he only had eyes for the heavenly emperor real body. Other than that, he ignored the son of heaven and the shaman king. He seemed to be asking himself, but at the same time, it seemed like he was asking the heavenly emperor real body. His voice was sorrowful and tragic, moving those who heard it. What's going on? Why isn't Zhao Ritian fighting back? Why is he allowing the son of heaven to attack? The shaman king's eyes were filled with shock. The shaman king, the heaven corpse emperor prince, and the undying emperor prince were shocked by the sudden turn of events. Previously, both Zhao Ritian's taboo power and Tianzi's heavenly emperor real body had made them feel extremely threatened. However, for some reason, Zhao Ritian seemed to have lost his soul after seeing Tianzi's heavenly emperor real body and forgot to resist. Where did this Zhao Ritian come from? Could it be that he's related to the heavenly emperor? The heaven corpse emperor prince's eyes flashed coldly as he guessed. The scene in front of them was simply too unbelievable. Even though the three of them were geniuses, it was difficult for them to guess the reason behind this. The undying prince, whose eyes were filled with murderous intent, started to hesitate. Initially, he wanted to take advantage of the moment when both Tianzi and Zhao Ritian were injured to kill both of them. However, it seemed like this was not a good time to do so. Especially after seeing the heavenly emperor real body, he did not think that angering the son of heaven would be a good thing. I want to see how hard your bones are, Tianzi said coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Rumble. The heavenly emperor's seal pierced through the sky, exuding an ancient aura that could suppress thousands of worlds. It rumbled and pressed down on Zhao Ritian. Under the control of the heavenly emperor's true body, the heavenly emperor's seal erupted with an unparalleled sharpness. In front of the heavenly emperor's seal, Zhao Ritian instinctively felt a sense of fatal danger. He stretched out his arm in an attempt to block it. However, the moment he saw the heavenly emperor's real body, his arm that was only left with bones froze. I can't. I can't. Zhao Ritian's eyes were filled with struggle. He was filled with sorrow and sadness. Boom! The heavenly emperor's seal came crashing down, releasing an unparalleled wave of divine light that blasted onto Zhao Ritian's body. Even though Zhao Ritian's bones were extremely tough and exuded an immortal wave, they still trembled violently under the heavenly emperor's seal. Runes of the heavenly law were destroyed one after another, and his bones dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Crack! In the end, one of Zhao Ritian's arms exploded into dust. He staggered backward, and his flame of life weakened significantly. Zhao Ritian, have you really forgotten who you are? Have you forgotten the person who once brought you warmth and glory? You must pull yourself together. You must pull yourself together. Fight back. He won't blame you. The second uncle's voice exploded in Zhao Ritian's mind, filled with worry and anxiety. However, the second uncle also understood that this was the biggest calamity in Zhao Ritian's life. It was also a process that he had to go through. He could not remind him, nor could he reveal any related secrets. Other than such feeble words, he could not do anything else. Zhao Ritian could only endure everything by himself. Second uncle, who is that person you're talking about? What's my relationship with the heavenly emperor? Why am I unwilling to attack him? Who am I? Ah! Zhao Ritian's eyes were filled with madness and pain. It was as if his entire being had become extremely violent. Rumble. Divine chains of order intertwined around his body. They contained ancient runes that sealed his primordial spirit and fate. However, at this moment, as Zhao Ritian went berserk, an unimaginable power seemed to have erupted from his body. It caused his body to emit boundless light, as if he was trying to break the divine chains of order completely. You're courting death. The Heavenly Emperor was instantly enraged. The killing intent in his eyes burned fiercely. There was also a faint trace of unconcealable shock and fear. His attacks became even fiercer. Boom! 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 The Heavenly Emperor's fist traversed the sky, surrounded by endless chaotic light. It opened up billions of worlds in the void, containing the power of great destruction. The Emperor's sword swept across the 9 heavens. The dense sword chi rose like the sea. Every sword light was incomparably sharp, capable of destroying the world and slashing everything apart. The Heavenly Emperor's seal suppressed the heavens. It was the supreme authority that controlled billions of lives and ruled over the reincarnation of the heavens. It contained the power to suppress everything, and its power was monstrous. With the support of the Heavenly Emperor's real body, the Heavenly Emperor unleashed the power of 3 Supreme Emperor techniques. He continuously attacked Zhao Ritian, and every attack contained an aura that could destroy everything. Boom! Zhao Ritian's arms turned into dust, and his legs turned into nothingness. His body was pierced by the endless sword chi, and then suppressed by the Heavenly Emperor's seal, completely shattering it. In the end, only his head was left. At this moment, Zhao Ritian's life was like a candle in the wind. It could be extinguished at any time. His eyes were filled with confusion, sorrow, longing, and sighing. However, he did not have the slightest strength to resist. Facing the overwhelming attacks, Zhao Ritian's eyes were fixed on the Heavenly Emperor's real body. His eyes were filled with endless longing and longing. Am I going to die just like that? It's a pity that I still don't know who I am. I also don't know what my relationship with you is. Father. Zhao Ritian mumbled to himself, then slowly closed his eyes. Rumble. However, just as he said the word, Father, a terrifying power erupted from his primordial spirit, shot out from his life chart, and rushed out from every particle in his body. It was like a flood that had opened the floodgates, majestically surging out. Bang! 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 Chapter 2301. It was as if the great ancient emperor had awakened from his slumber. The aura was ancient, mysterious, majestic, and terrifying. It was as if it could tear the heavens apart. The shaman king and the other 2 were shocked as they felt their hearts palpitating. Rumble. Monstrous divine light surged and surged. Endless chaotic energy surged from all directions and poured into Zhao Ritian's head, causing his aura to skyrocket. Crack. It was as if a seal in his sea of consciousness had been broken. A vast torrent of information surged into Zhao Ritian's sea of consciousness, allowing him to see countless ancient and mysterious memory fragments. Eternal reincarnation, immortal true spirit. An ancient and mysterious voice exploded in Zhao Ritian's sea of consciousness. It was like the voice of the heavenly Tao, majestic and mysterious. The world around him began to rumble violently. Swoosh! 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 Rays of mysterious spiritual light came from the chaos, containing extremely powerful soul fluctuations. They surged into Zhao Ritian's sea of consciousness in an instant. In his sea of consciousness, endless light bloomed, illuminating the boundless world. His primordial spirit sat cross-legged in the mysterious void, exuding an ancient fluctuation. Every ray of spiritual light that merged into his primordial spirit made his primordial spirit grow stronger. His primordial spirit became more and more mysterious, exuding an immortal aura. Ha ha ha. Today, I finally know that you're you. Zhao Ritian, you're finally awake, the second uncle's voice rang in Zhao Ritian's sea of consciousness. It contained joy, relief, and excitement. However, Zhao Ritian was immersed in the vast torrent of memories and accepting the transformation of his primordial spirit. He was extremely calm. Damn it! How could you break free from the 10,000 Emperor's spirit lock heaven fate curse? Di Hao, you deserve to die. I'm the real Di Hao. The Emperor was also pushed back by the terrifying power that erupted from Zhao Ritian's body. His eyes were filled with disbelief. His face instantly became extremely gloomy, filled with monstrous killing intent. He was only one step away from success. As long as Zhao Ritian's skull was shattered and his forbidden soul was devoured, the Son of Heaven would be completely perfected. Furthermore, Zhao Ritian's cultivation had yet to prove his Tao and become a saint. There was no way he could break free from the 10,000 Emperor's spirit lock heaven fate curse. How did he do it? So what if you've broken the 10,000 Emperor's spirit lock heaven fate curse? So what if you've recovered your past memories? Your flesh and blood, your bones, your strength, they are all mine. No one can save you today. You must die. The Son of Heaven seemed to have gone crazy. Monstrous killing intent burst out from his body. The power of the Sky Emperor true body was pushed to the extreme by him. Rumble. The vast Celestial Emperor real body became more and more solid, but the Celestial Emperor real body was trembling violently, as if it wanted to break free from the shackles of the Emperor. Old thing, after so many years, are you still not satisfied? Ha ha ha. Today, not only will I kill you, I will also kill your son. I am the real Di Hao, the real Son of Heaven Tao. The Son of Heaven mumbled to himself. His eyes were covered with a layer of blood. Terrifying energy rose from his body. Divine chains of order crossed the sky and firmly sealed the Celestial Emperor real body. Rumble. 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 He walked towards Zhao Ritian. The killing intent around him seemed to have materialized. There was a crimson light in his palm that contained an energy fluctuation that could devour everything. It slowly moved towards Zhao Ritian. Even if Zhao Ritian had awakened, his physical body was destroyed. Even if his immortal primordial spirit was restored, he was no match for the Son of Heaven. The Son of Heaven was confident that he could kill Zhao Ritian and turn him into a complete part of himself. What kind of madness is he having? Sensing the crazy killing intent from the Son of Heaven, the Shaman King and the other two could not help but change their expressions. Although they instinctively felt that something was wrong and that the relationship between Zhao Ritian and the Son of Heaven was not ordinary, they were not willing to make a move. The Son of Heaven was on the verge of exploding. They were not willing to provoke such a Son of Heaven. Idiot, you want to hurt my nephew? Are you worthy? In Zhao Ritian's sea of consciousness, the second master saw the Son of Heaven slowly approaching. Killing intent flashed in his eyes and an extremely terrifying aura fluctuation was emitted from his body. However, he suddenly felt some kind of aura and could not help but be slightly stunned. Rumble. In the chaotic battlefield, blazing divine light rose and the heavens and earth shook. A figure in snow-white robes instantly appeared in the battlefield. He looked handsome and elegant, but his eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. He simply threw a punch towards the Son of Heaven. Son of Heaven, you're courting death. The cold voice was like a thunderclap. The fist print was in front of the Son of Heaven in the blink of an eye. Ling Xiao. I haven't looked for you yet, but you've delivered yourself to me. You're courting death. A cold light flashed in the Son of Heaven's eyes. He instantly recognized that the white-robed figure was Ling Xiao. Terrifying energy erupted from his body and the Son of Heaven's fist met the attack. Rumble. The void trembled violently, and the blazing divine light exploded. The endless chaotic mist was annihilated one after another. The Son of Heaven's expression changed drastically. He felt that although Ling Xiao's fist print looked simple, it contained a domineering and invincible power. Even his Son of Heaven's fist could not withstand it. The Son of Heaven's body shook violently and he was sent flying. In the void, blazing divine light rose. Ling Zhao's white robes and black hair fluttered in the wind. He maintained his punching posture and his entire body seemed to be rooted in the sky. He did not retreat at all. The power of a casual punch was incredible. What? The Shaman King, the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince, and the Undying Emperor Prince could not help but tremble and gasp. They knew how strong the Son of Heaven was when he unleashed his Son of Heaven's true form. Even the three of them could not withstand the full power of the Son of Heaven's true form. However, the Son of Heaven was repelled by Ling Zhao's punch. What kind of power was this? When they saw Ling Zhao, their hearts were burning with greed. They coveted the wordless heavenly book on Ling Zhao. However, this punch shattered all their greed. Son of Heaven, how dare you hurt Zhao Ritian? Do you want to die? Ling Zhao looked at the Son of Heaven indifferently. His voice was domineering and sharp. The current Ling Zhao had completely mastered the 12 sky skills. He had also obtained the power of providence from the white dragon horse and the others. He had condensed purple providence, which was why he was able to enter the battlefield of the final battle. The God Clan seal understood the heavens and earth. It even revealed everything that happened in the final battle to Ling Zhao's consciousness. Therefore, he also saw the strange battle between Zhao Ritian and the Son of Heaven. Chapter 2302. Ling Zhao, how did your combat strength increase to this extent? Tianzi's blood was boiling, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Zhao's overbearing punch was purely based on his physical strength. It made Tianzi feel as if he was facing a chaotic divine demon from ancient times. He was invincible. However, not long ago, he and Ling Zhao had fought to a draw, and that was when Tianzi had not activated his Heavenly Emperor real body. Now that he had unleashed the strongest power of the Heavenly Emperor real body, he was still sent flying by Ling Zhao's punch. Nothing is immutable. Tianzi, let's settle the old and new grudges today. And the Undying Prince, no one can save you today. Ling Zhao said indifferently. His voice was extremely calm. He stepped on the void, and his clothes fluttered in the wind. He exuded an ethereal and otherworldly aura. He did not seem to have any aura of cultivation, but he seemed to be separated from Tianzi and the others by an endless time and space. He looked very mysterious. His eyes were dazzling, bright, and mysterious. They flowed with brilliant light, as if they contained the great Tao of the heavens and realms. When he looked at them, it was as if he could see through them. Arrogant. Today, it's either you die or I die. The Undying Prince's eyes turned cold as he said coldly. Demonic chi rose around him, and an ancient world rose, exuding an eternal aura. His life origin was incomparably thick, and it was as boundless as the vast sea. An ancient and mysterious saber appeared in his hand. It looked simple and unadorned, but it contained a peerless killing intent and sharpness. It instantly locked onto Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao, you ruined my plans. I'll crush your bones and scatter your ashes. You'll never be reincarnated. Tianzi said through gritted teeth. He was extremely angry. He was only one step away from completely devouring Zhao Ritian's forbidden soul and reaching the Great Perfection realm. However, Ling Zhao had ruined it. A terrifying aura rose around him, causing the surrounding chaos to tremble. Vast demonic chi gushed out, and the flawless origin energy intertwined. It formed a perfect balance on Tianzi's body, causing his aura to soar again. You've cultivated the demonic technique? He deserves to die. Murderous intent flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes. Tianzi's terrifying demonic chi contained a vast emperor's aura. It was obvious that he had cultivated a supreme emperor scripture of the demon race. He completely did not think that the dignified son of a heavenly emperor would actually cultivate the fiend race's imperial sutra. In addition, the demonic light around Tianzi surged like an endless hell. Countless ferocious ghostly faces were howling, and countless vengeful spirits were howling. Clearly, Tianzi had caused boundless slaughter in order to successfully cultivate this supreme imperial scripture. Rumble. Ling Zhao punched out towards Tianzi. The fist imprint was unparalleled, accompanied by a dragon's roar. The pores all over Ling Xiao's body spewed out blazing light as if it could pierce through the chaos. The moment he attacked, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked, causing the ancient chaotic battlefield to rumble and shake. Kill. Tianzi was also a little crazy. Demonic light surged around his body and the origin energy intertwined. A vast fist print soared into the sky and split into two in an instant. One was the Heavenly Emperor's fist. It was mighty, piercing through 3,000 worlds and suppressing invincibility. The other was the Killing Fist. It was wrapped in endless evil chi and resentment, causing one's mind to shake and fall into an endless hell. Crack. The terrifying fist imprint collided in the void, instantly causing the sky to rumble. The Heavenly Emperor's fist was unparalleled, but the Heavenly Emperor's divine power that erupted from Ling Xiao's body made it impossible for Tianzi to resist and resist. The Heavenly Emperor's fist imprint suddenly shattered. At the same time, the Killing Fist appeared in front of Ling Xiao's forehead like a ghost. The evil chi of hundreds of millions of vengeful spirits gushed out, wanting to directly rush into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness and completely tear his primordial spirit apart. This is the inheritance of the endless demon emperor. I didn't expect it to fall into Tianzi's hands. He really hid it well. The Heavenly Corpse Emperor's eyes flashed and he said with some shock. The endless demon emperor was a supreme expert of the demon clan in ancient times. His status was comparable to the current undying demon emperor. He was the lord of the demon world and created the endless hell. In ancient times, he caused endless slaughter and buried hundreds of millions of creatures in the endless hell. In the end, a few great emperors from the ancient times chased after the Avicii Devil Emperor. Although they killed the Avicii Devil Emperor in the end, one of them was dragged down by the Avicii Devil Emperor and died together in the Avicii Hell. Although Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince came from a very long time ago, the era of the Seamless Demon Emperor was even older. Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince had heard of the Seamless Demon Emperor's name, but he didn't expect that the inheritance of the Seamless Demon Emperor would fall into the hands of Heavenly Sun. Tianzi's strength has reached an extremely terrifying level by integrating the Heavenly Emperor's scripture and the Endless Scripture at the same time. Without Ling Xiao, I'm afraid none of us would be a match for Tianzi. The Shaman Spirit King said with some shock and disappointment. Although he thought highly of himself and was regarded as a peerless genius of the sorcerer tribe in thousands of years, facing Ling Xiao and Tianzi at this moment, he still felt a sense of inferiority. Even with the integration of the two imperial scriptures, I suspect that Tianzi is still no match for Ling Xiao. The Heavenly Corpse Emperor said with deep eyes. Boom! The fist of slaughter contained billions of wraiths from the Avicii Hell. It was a kind of invisible spiritual energy. It entered Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness in an instant, trying to tear Ling Xiao's primordial spirit into pieces. These resentful spirits all transferred their hatred for Tianzi to Ling Xiao. Endless resentment and killing intent surged. Even a sage could not resist the invasion of the endless hell. Buzz! However, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit sat cross-legged in his sea of consciousness. He looked calm and composed. Radiant light radiated from his body. In the sea of consciousness where the vengeful spirits were surging, dazzling divine halos filled the air. They contained vast true will of the great path, causing Ling Xiao's primordial spirit to be enveloped in an immortal power. A total of 12 divine rings spread out, exuding an aura of chaos, immortality, and eternity. When the vast resentful spirits touched the 12 divine rings of the consciousness sea, they were instantly annihilated. Like ice melting silently, this incomparably terrifying punch was directly dispelled by Ling Xiao just like that. The inheritance of the endless demon emperor? It's just so. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and looked calmly at Tianzi in front of him, revealing a hint of mockery in his eyes. What? Chapter 2303. Swoosh. Ling Xiao pointed a finger at Tianzi's forehead. His finger was sparkling and translucent, containing an aura of time. It made the surrounding space seem to have stopped for a moment. Time imprisoning heavenly finger. The Emperor technique of the Time Sutra contained the power of time. It could imprison heaven and earth with unfathomable power. Tianzi only felt that when the finger came, it was as if there were invisible chains of time wrapping around him, making him feel as if he was fixed in the void. He could only watch as the finger came before his forehead. This is the power of time. Break! Tianzi roared. His eyes were filled with madness. The divine power of the two peerless imperial scriptures burst out from his body, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. The chains of time that were binding him were broken, but Ling Zhao's finger also pierced through Tianzi's forehead. Puff! Blood light filled the air. Tianzi's entire body trembled. There seemed to be a huge wave in his sea of consciousness. He looked up to the sky and roared. A black vortex of demonic light gathered in his sea of consciousness and devoured the terrifying divine power contained in the time-imprisoning heavenly finger. Although Tianzi had blocked the attack, he was still severely injured. He staggered back, his body trembling violently. Ling Xiao had obtained the inheritance of the flowing time emperor and displayed the time-imprisoning heavenly finger. This attack was too sudden, and even Tianzi could not react in time. He was instantly injured. The energy of time was the greatest and most vast energy. It was capable of obliterating and burying everything. It could even destroy the heavens and cause all living beings to fall. Even the peerless great emperors could not withstand the erosion of time. Since ancient times, so many peerless great emperors had been buried in the long river of time. Only a few words of their deeds had been passed down. Your physical body is so strong. But you still have to die. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with killing intent. Chaotic light rose from his palm and the ethereal power of fate filled the air. The aura of karma flickered and eventually formed a mysterious and ancient reincarnation. Ling Xiao threw out a punch. 4 types of supreme power gathered in his palm. It was vast and mighty as if it could annihilate everything, pressing down on Tianzi. Chaos, fate, karma, reincarnation. These 4 secret skills contain the ultimate mysteries of the universe. Although Ling Xiao had yet to fully comprehend them, he was already able to borrow a sliver of the power of the 4 secret skills and gather them into one to unleash an earth-shattering, unparalleled force. Ling Xiao, take my blade. At this moment, the Undying Prince also roared. The aura around him rose to the extreme. Terrifying blood chi rose as if the blood in his body was burning. The ancient blade in his hand rose into the air. In an instant, 100,000 feet long blade aura swept across the sky and slashed down on Ling Xiao. Undying Heavenly Blade. The Supreme Emperor art of the Undying Scripture was also one of the strongest techniques of the Undying Demon Emperor. With a single slash, it could plunder the vitality of 10,000 creatures and kill everything. The more living beings killed by the Undying Heaven Blade, the stronger the master of the Undying Heaven Blade would become. In the end, with the help of the vast and boundless life essence, the master could even unleash destructive power. While Ling Xiao and Tianzi were fighting, the Undying Prince activated his Undying Emperor blood and accumulated his blade aura to the extreme. Then, he unleashed this ultimate attack. Undying Prince. I let you escape last time. This time, let's see where you can escape to. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed coldly. A bright light appeared in his other hand. It contained the aura of yin and yang and the 5 elements. In an instant, it turned into a dazzling rainbow light. Boom! Ling Zhao's palm slammed toward the Undying Prince. The rainbow light rose majestically and shrouded the Undying Prince. The rainbow light was a peerless secret technique that Ling Xiao had comprehended after comprehending the 5 elements secret technique and the yin-yang secret technique. It contained the power of the 5 elements and the yin-yang secret technique. The undying heavenly sword used by the Undying Prince was indeed very powerful. Ling Xiao also wanted to test the power of the rainbow light. He instantly attacked the Undying Prince. At the same time, Ling Xiao did not stop chasing after Tianzi. The 4 imperial palm print contained the power of the 4 elements. It sealed the surrounding chaotic void and pressed down on Tianzi. Boom! There was a hint of madness in Tianzi's eyes as he roared. Half of his body was covered in black demonic light while the other half was covered in blazing chaotic aura. They intertwined and formed a huge yin-yang tai chi diagram that shot towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, let's see if you can break my divine demon diagram. Tianzi said coldly. The yin-yang tai chi diagram contained the power of the divine demon. It was a peerless secret technique that Tianzi had created himself. It could seal everything and had an extremely strong defensive power. This was Tianzi's attempt to merge the Seamless Sutra and the Heavenly Emperor Sutra. It also represented his ambition. He wanted to break away from the Tao of the Seamless Demon Emperor and the Heavenly Emperor and walk his own path. Crack! Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent. Facing the attacks of Tianzi and the Undying Prince at the same time, he did not retreat. Instead, he took the initiative to attack. He won with the 4 imperial palm print and the 7-colored divine light. The 4 imperial palm print was extremely powerful. It suddenly hit the divine demon diagram, causing the void to shake violently. Endless demonic light and chaotic chi exploded. The divine demon diagram also became extremely bright in an instant. Tianzi's body shook violently and he was sent flying. However, what surprised Ling Xiao was that the divine demon diagram was extremely sturdy. It was not destroyed by his palm. Clang! The undying heavenly blade released a blazing saber light. The huge saber seemed to be able to destroy everything. However, when it collided with the 7-colored divine light, it seemed to have slashed through the air and lost its lock on Ling Xiao. What made the Undying Prince's face change drastically was that the 7-colored divine light contained the power of the 5 elements of yin and yang. It flowed endlessly and continuously destroyed the power of the undying heavenly blade. In the end, the terrifying saber light exploded. The Undying Prince was sent flying. His chi and blood were in turmoil. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Although he had overestimated Ling Xiao's combat strength, when he really faced Ling Xiao, he found that the gap between him and Ling Xiao had become huge. The undying heavenly blade that he had used all his strength to attack was easily destroyed by the 7-colored divine light. Just with the two of you. Do you think you are qualified to fight for the position of the chosen one? Ling Xiao's eyes were cold, but his attacks did not stop at all. There was no aura of smoke or fire around him, but his attacks contained supreme power. Every move he made contained the power to suppress everything. Tianzi and the Undying Prince roared and exploded with their strongest power. Even their great emperor bloodline and supreme emperor scripture were activated. However, they were still at a disadvantage. Kill! The Shaman King and the Heavenly Corpse Prince looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. They instantly jumped up and attacked. Chapter 2304. The Sorcerer King and the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince finally made their move. They had been watching the battle and realized that even though the Son of Heaven and the Undying Prince had joined forces, they were still suppressed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's strength had shocked them. However, whether it was the Chosen One or the wordless heavenly book on Ling Xiao, they coveted it and could not give up. They had noticed that Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had a good relationship, so they wanted to take this opportunity to capture Zhao Ritian. Perhaps this could make Ling Xiao hesitate. You're courting death. Ling Xiao also noticed that the Sorcerer King and the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince had attacked Zhao Ritian. Cold light flashed in his eyes and he was about to give up the battle with the Son of Heaven and the Undying Prince to rescue Zhao Ritian. Ling Xiao, you haven't broken my celestial demon diagram, and you want to leave? The Son of Heaven sneered. Blazing divine light rose from his body and the celestial demon diagram spun, sprinkling down divine chains of order and suppressing Ling Xiao. He had noticed the actions of the Sorcerer King and the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince. He could not let Ling Xiao go to rescue Zhao Ritian, so he decisively stopped Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, taste the power of my immortal seal. The Undying Prince's eyes also turned cold and he sneered. He punched out, and an ancient fist print swept across the void, containing immortal fluctuations and majestic vitality. It was surrounded by mysterious runes as if it could devour all vitality. As soon as the immortal seal appeared, Ling Xiao felt that the vitality in his body was a little chaotic, as if it was going to rush out of his body and rush toward the immortal seal. Get lost! Ling Xiao's eyes were overflowing with murderous intent. 7-colored heavenly light rose from his palm, containing the power to disintegrate and destroy everything. In an instant, it bloomed mightily, covering the sky and covering the sun like a vast 7-colored ocean. Buzz! In Ling Xiao's palm, the flipping sky seal bloomed with blazing light, like an ancient mountain, and suppressed the Sorcerer King and the Undying Prince. The power of the flipping sky seal was unparalleled. In addition, the device spirit of the flipping sky seal, Thunder Spirit King, had already reached the sage realm. He practiced the secret skill of divine punishment in the flipping sky seal every day. Thus, he was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao also hoped that the sky flipping seal would be able to stop the Shaman King and the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince temporarily. After he defeated the Emperor and the Undying Emperor Prince, he would come back to rescue Zhao Ritian. You want to stop us with a mere saint treasure? In your dreams. The Sorcerer King sneered. The muscles all over his body burst out with violent power. He threw a punch, trying to blow the flipping sky seal away. He was a peerless genius of the Sorcerer tribe. The Sorcerer tribe was best at refining their bodies, and their bodies were extremely powerful. The body of the Sorcerer King was even comparable to a holy treasure. In his opinion, he could blow up the flipping sky seal with one punch. Rumble. The flipping sky seal was ancient and mysterious. In an instant, blazing thunderbolts burst out from it. They were mighty like divine punishment. The thunderbolts intertwined and twisted like dragons. They contained terrifying destructive power and collided with the Sorcerer King in an instant. The void vibrated violently. Not only was the flipping sky seal not blown away as the Shaman Spirit King had imagined, but the terrible thunder vibrated and made him tremble all over. The electric current raged on his body, making his hair sizzle. The Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince's eyes flashed. He flapped his wings and shuttled through the thunderbolts to avoid the bombardment of the secret skill of divine punishment. He was from the zombie tribe and hated this kind of power. The secret skill of divine punishment seemed to have a natural restraint on him. He was unable to get close to Zhao Ritian for a while. The flipping sky seal, or the flipping sky emperor seal, in Zhao Ritian's consciousness the second master saw the flipping sky seal floating in the void. His eyes were filled with nostalgia as he sighed softly. Swoosh! The next moment, he turned into a dazzling streamer and rushed out of Zhao Ritian's consciousness In an instant, he entered the flipping sky seal. The Thunder Spirit King, who was controlling the flipping sky seal to fend off the enemy, suddenly trembled. He felt as though he was being stared at by an ancient beast. His body stiffened and he could not move. Who are you? The Thunder Spirit King asked in a trembling voice. Don't worry. Lend me the flipping sky seal temporarily. These two dared to attack Di Hao. It's time to teach them a lesson. An old and majestic voice rang in the Thunder Spirit King's ears. Who is Di Hao? The Thunder Spirit King was stunned and asked doubtfully. However, the voice did not answer him. The flipping sky seal moved instantly. Rumble. The flipping sky seal trembled slightly. In the next moment, a vast and unparalleled power gushed out from the flipping sky seal. Its power suddenly increased by dozens of times. It was like a dazzling sun, crossing the sky. When the Shaman Spiritual King and the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son discovered that the thunderbolts in the flipping sky seal had dissipated, they wanted to capture Zhao Ritian in one go. However, they suddenly felt an extremely dangerous aura erupting. Crack! The flipping sky seal fell from the sky with destructive power. It was majestic, ancient, and immortal, as though it could break the heavens and earth. What? The shaman's spiritual king and the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son could not help but tremble. Their eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The power that erupted from the flipping sky seal made their scalps tingle. Without thinking, blazing divine light gushed out from their bodies. They directly exploded with their strongest power and met the flipping sky seal head-on. Rumble. The two dazzling torrents collided with the flipping sky seal. In an instant, the sky shook and the two torrents collapsed. The shaman's spiritual king and the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son trembled violently. They felt as though they had collided with an indestructible mountain and were directly thrown out. How dare you two ants attack Dihao? The cold voice exploded in the void. It contained an ancient and majestic fluctuation. The shaman's spiritual king and the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son could not help but change their expressions. Who are you? The shaman's spiritual king asked coldly. Rumble. The flipping sky seal fell from the sky and floated above Zhao Ritian's head. It sprinkled rays of dazzling light and formed a mysterious bounded domain to protect Zhao Ritian. The voice did not sound again. It was as if it did not care about the shaman's spiritual king and the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son. Damn it! The Heaven Corpse Emperor's son growled. His fangs were sharp, and his bloody eyes were ferocious. He felt extremely aggrieved. They did not expect Zhao Ritian to be protected by a mysterious expert. Although they did not know who that person was, they vaguely guessed that there was an extremely powerful device spirit hidden in the flipping sky seal. The bounded domain formed by the flipping sky seal was extremely powerful. Even if the two of them attacked together, it would be difficult to break the bounded domain in a short period of time. The only thing we can do now is to kill Ling Xiao first. Chapter 2305. Boom! Majestic chi and blood surged around the Sorcerer King. Dazzling runes rose one after another, causing the muscles all over his body to swell up. The Shaman King was originally more than 10 feet tall, but now his body expanded, and in an instant, he turned into a giant that was dozens of feet tall. His body was full of explosive power, ancient, primitive, and mysterious, as if he could destroy everything. He punched toward Ling Xiao. His huge fist was like a small mountain, blooming with a blazing fist radiance. Roar! The Heaven Corpse Emperor's son suddenly roared. His voice was extremely sharp, containing a terrifying sound wave that could make one's primordial spirit tremble. He bared his fangs and spread his wings, which were like clouds in the sky. His body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. The Heaven Corpse Emperor's son trembled, and in an instant, he turned into a blood-red lightning and shot toward Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao was fighting with the Son of Heaven and the Undying Prince, with blazing divine light rising around him. No matter how the Son of Heaven and the Undying Prince attacked, Ling Xiao blocked them all. At this moment, seeing that the Shaman King and the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son had joined in, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a cold light. You're courting death. I was going to spare your lives, but since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao shouted coldly. Blazing divine light rose around him, and he punched toward the Shaman King. The Shaman King's ancient divine power was extremely terrifying. It came from the ancient sorcerer tribe, and it was not inferior to the geniuses of the demon clan. However, when he faced Ling Xiao, he realized how terrifying Ling Xiao was. Crack! The void shook violently, and the sky in all directions shook as if billions of stars were sprinkling down. The Sorcerer King felt an unparalleled divine power coming from Ling Xiao's fist. It was as vast as the sea, and he suddenly retreated. Get lost! After Ling Xiao repelled the Shaman Spirit King, a blazing divine light rose from his body, and he slammed his palm toward the Heavenly Corpse Imperial Prince. The huge palm print, which contained the powerful law of the Great Path, directly slammed into the Heavenly Corpse Imperial Prince. The wings of the Heavenly Corpse Imperial Prince were as sharp as blades. They collided with Ling Xiao's palms, and the sound of metal colliding rang out. He wanted to cut off Ling Xiao's palms. However, Ling Xiao's palm was extremely sturdy and filled with an immortal luster. It directly slapped the heavenly corpse imperial prince down from the sky. Your flesh has reached its limit. You actually want to turn your body into a saint? The shaman king stared at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Sanctifying one's physical body was a path that countless experts yearned for. It was also the most difficult path. Legend had it that experts who could sanctify their physical bodies would be immortal and immortal once they reached the pinnacle. The shaman spirit king's body was incomparably powerful, and he had the talent of the sorcerer tribe. Naturally, he also wanted to walk the path of body sanctification. However, he also knew the difficulty of body sanctification. Even though his body was incomparably powerful now, there was still a long way to go before body sanctification. But now, he realized that Ling Xiao's physical body was not far from sanctifying. In other words, it was only one step away. A genius of the sorcerer tribe? Your body is very strong, but unfortunately, you have taken the wrong path. It's just wishful thinking for you to achieve body sanctification. Ling Xiao glanced at the shaman king indifferently and said, "Arrogant. How can you judge my Tao at will? Ling Xiao, if you don't want to die, hand over the wordless heavenly book, then kneel down and beg for mercy. We can spare your life." The shaman king stared at Ling Xiao gloomily and said, "The heavenly corpse imperial prince, the undying imperial prince, and the emperor stood in the other three directions of Ling Xiao. The four supreme talents surrounded Ling Xiao, and an extremely dangerous aura erupted from their bodies. They locked onto Ling Xiao, who was in the center, as if they were going to launch a fatal blow at any time. Their eyes were filled with powerful battle intent and killing intent. Now that it was the final battle, they did not hold back at all. They all chose to work together to fight against the enemy. Just with you? Ridiculous." Ling Xiao said calmly. His eyes were as sharp as a knife, and a blazing killing intent rose in his heart. The emperor and the undying imperial prince were already dead in his heart. Although the shaman king and the heavenly corpse imperial prince had no enmity with Ling Xiao, they had chosen to attack Ling Xiao because they coveted the wordless heavenly book and became his enemies. To his enemies, he had to be as ruthless as the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Rumble. Ling Xiao was surrounded by a terrifying aura, and circles of bright divine light, which contained the mysterious great Tao precepts, spread out. There were a total of 12 divine rings, which represented the vast power of the 12 sky skills. Ling Xiao, who was in the center, had a mysterious feeling that nothing could invade him. Ling Xiao, you can kill those three bastards, but the emperor's body must not suffer too much damage. You have to find a way to destroy the emperor's primordial spirit. At this moment, an ancient and mysterious voice sounded in Ling Xiao's mind. You are the mysterious living spirit in Zhao Ritian's body? Who are you? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. After thinking for a moment, he guessed the origin of this voice and secretly asked. Ahem. You can call me second uncle. The emperor's body and fate belong to Zhao Ritian. Zhao Ritian's real name is Di Hao, and he is the real son of the Emperor of Heaven. Second uncle coughed softly. What? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. Ling Xiao's attention was completely attracted by second uncle's words. Di Hao. The real son of the Emperor of Heaven? Second uncle's words set off a storm in Ling Xiao's mind. He could not believe it, and for a moment, he was slightly distracted. Just as Ling Xiao was distracted, the emperor, the undying imperial prince, the shaman king, and the heavenly corpse imperial prince discovered the flaw in Ling Xiao's body and attacked at the same time. The four of them were peerless geniuses, so they naturally knew how to make use of the flaw to explode with a powerful blow. Rumble. Four blazing divine lights suddenly burst out, containing the vast power of the great Tao precepts. They intertwined with each other and attacked Ling Xiao from all directions, drowning him in an instant. The Emperor of Heaven's fist suppressed the surroundings, the immortal seal destroyed everything, the sorcerer ancestor's palm was unparalleled, and the heavenly corpse saber cut through the sky. The four peerless geniuses used their most powerful killing power, and directly bombarded Ling Xiao's body. The space trembled, and the blazing divine light around Ling Xiao exploded. The runes were destroyed, and the 12 eternal divine rings began to shatter inch by inch in the face of such a terrifying attack. Kill. Chapter 2306. Zhao Ritian's body had completely disappeared, leaving behind only a trace of his primordial spirit that was wrapped in a dazzling light. It was enshrouded in a dazzling divine glow, looking like a mysterious world. The 10,000 Emperor's spirit-lock destiny curse that imprisoned Zhao Ritian's primordial spirit and fate had been completely broken. Zhao Ritian felt his primordial spirit relax. It was an unprecedented restraint, like a baby in his mother's womb. It was incomparably warm. Vaguely, Zhao Ritian seemed to see a vast and mysterious memory world hidden in the depths of his primordial spirit. Heaven and earth were black and yellow, and the universe was chaotic. Above the vast and ancient land, a huge altar towered into the sky. It looked simple and mysterious. There were various ancient runes engraved on it. Each rune contained a vast amount of energy, making the power of the entire altar terrifying to the extreme. Around the altar, there were many corpses of giant beasts. These beasts were thousands of feet or even tens of thousands of feet in size. There were white tigers with snow-white bodies, huge fire dragons that were tens of thousands of feet long, shrouded in flames, and huge demonic birds that were covered in scales and had sword-like wings. These giant beasts contained a vast amount of vitality. At this moment, a vast amount of vitality surged into the altar and was continuously devoured by the altar. On the altar, there was an ancient and mysterious statue. It was a middle-aged man. He was tall and seemed to be able to support the heavens and earth. His face was a little blurry, but his eyes contained an invincible aura that looked down on the world and suppressed the heavens. It was just a statue, but it contained an invincible aura that could suppress everything. Its aura was extremely terrifying. At this moment, there were countless human experts wearing beast skins around the altar. Their eyes were filled with fanaticism and worship as they respectfully knelt down before the statue. Long live the Heavenly Emperor. May the Heavenly Emperor bless the human race and make it prosperous. May the Celestial Emperor be immortal and lead us to exterminate all of those demon bastards. Voices rang out, vast and majestic. They rumbled in the void, causing the sky to tremble at the same time. On the huge altar, there was a magnificent heavenly palace floating above the sea of clouds. It was like an eternal sun, blooming with endless radiance. This was the residence of the human race's ruler, the Heavenly Emperor. Big Brother Yuan, you're amazing. Of the 9 swords of the human sovereign that my father imparted to you, you managed to cultivate to the 6th sword so quickly, unlike me who still can't comprehend the 3rd sword. In a garden in the heavenly palace, hundreds of flowers were in full bloom, contending with each other in their beauty. There was a little boy who looked like he was carved from jade. He looked like he was only 4 or 5 years old, but he was very beautiful. He blinked his big clear eyes, and his eyelashes were very long. At this moment, his eyes were filled with worship. In front of him stood a young man in white. He looked handsome and extraordinary. He put away the long sword in his hand and turned to smile at the little boy. How? You're slacking off again. Emperor Father said that the 9 swords of the human sovereign must be comprehended by oneself. If I teach you, I will be harming you. If you don't cultivate properly, how will you follow an imperial father's footsteps in the future and conquer the heavens? Di Yuan patted the little boy's head and smiled dotingly. Humph. I don't care. I'm still a child. I'll follow imperial father and conquer the world. Having Big Brother Yuan is enough. I'm tired again. The little boy's eyes revealed a trace of craftiness. He turned around and jumped onto a stone chair. He lay down on it and grabbed a spiritual fruit and threw it into his mouth. How? You have Imperial Father's bloodline. You are the son of heaven and the future hope of the human tribe. Now that your cultivation has reached the peak of the Divine King realm, when you become a sage, I'm afraid even I won't be your match. You're just too naughty. Di Yuan shook his head helplessly. However, there was a strange glint in his eyes when he looked at Di Hao. Hee, Big Brother Yuan, cultivation is too tiring. I don't want to be the son of heaven. You have to work hard. Imperial Father's inheritance is waiting for you. Who knows, you might be the next Emperor Yuan Tian. Di Hao said with a smile. His face was full of smiles. How, I really don't know what to do with you. Di Yuan shook his head and said. Big Brother Yuan, the demon tribe has been chased out of the divine world by Imperial Father. Now that the human tribe has become the master of the divine world, why does Imperial Father still want to kill those demon bastards? I hope Imperial Father can play with me. Di Hao said in a bored tone. How, although the demon tribe has been chased out of the divine world, the demon tribe has a strong foundation. They used to be the epoch master during the Antiquity Age. They can't be underestimated. The human tribe and the demon tribe are mortal enemies. If we don't kill the demon tribe, I'm afraid the human tribe will be in big trouble when they recover their strength. Imperial Father's action is to get rid of all future troubles for the human tribe. Di Yuan explained slowly. However, it's still too risky to kill our way into the demon realm. Di Hao said worriedly. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding sky shook violently. The sun in the void turned black. Strong winds blew and dark clouds roared. Blood rain fell from the sky as if the heavens were crying. Crack. On the huge altar, the celestial emperor's statue actually cracked open from its forehead. Streams of blood flowed out from it. It looked extremely tragic. Blood rained from the sky. This. Did a great emperor fall? What's going on? Oh no. The heavenly emperor's statue broke. Did something happen to the heavenly emperor? Impossible. How is this possible? His Majesty the Celestial Emperor swept through the heavens, suppressing all enemies. Even a devil emperor was killed by him. Who can kill him? Horrified voices rang out in the heavenly palace. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. The entire heavenly palace began to boil at this moment. Many human race experts were in a state of chaos. People kept going out to inquire about the news, wanting to know what had happened. However, there was news soon. To be exact, it was the news spread by the demon tribe. The heavenly emperor led many followers to hunt down the demon tribe experts. However, they were ambushed in the demon realm. The 5 demon emperors in the demon realm, the light demon emperor, the heavenly demon emperor, the blood prison demon emperor, the original demon emperor, and the undying demon emperor, joined forces with the 5 great emperors from the sorcerer tribe, the ghost tribe, and other races. A total of 10 great emperors set up a trap to kill the heavenly emperor. They set up an inescapable trap. Not only did the 10 great emperors use the 10 great emperor weapons, but the demon realm also took out the wordless heavenly book, which had been hidden for a long time, to trap the heavenly emperor in the demon realm. In the end, all of the heavenly emperor's followers died in the battle. The heavenly emperor went completely mad. Chapter 2307. In one battle, he had killed 7 great emperors and severely injured 3 great emperors. Although this glorious battle record was enough to shock the universe and make all living beings tremble in fear, the heavenly emperor had still fallen. One of the heavenly emperor's 2 great emperor weapons, the heavenly emperor seal, was destroyed and the heavenly emperor's sword was severely damaged. The divine realm felt it and the heavens wailed in sorrow as blood rained down. When the news spread to the divine realm, the humans found it hard to believe. Many of them were heartbroken and some even fainted from crying. The entire divine realm was covered with a layer of sadness. The Sky Emperor was the most astonishing figure of the human race in recent years. Before the appearance of the Sky Emperor, the human race was incomparably miserable. It was the darkest days of the human race. They were wantonly humiliated by the demon race and became food for the demon race. They lived lives worse than beasts. It was the Heavenly Emperor's appearance that led the human race to rise step by step. He chased the demon race out of the divine realm and led the human race to power and glory. Now, the human race had become the master of the divine realm, and there were many experts in the human race. Many of them were ambitious and wanted to follow the Heavenly Emperor to conquer the universe. But now, there was news of the Heavenly Emperor's death. How could the humans not be sad? The Heavenly Emperor had an extremely high prestige in the human race. His death was like the light that led the human race to the end. In an instant, the divine realm fell into a state of chaos. In the heavenly palace, Di Yuan and Di Hao were completely stunned by the news. "Father!" Di Hao shouted. His little face became extremely pale and tears fell from his big clear eyes. His eyes were filled with fear and one could not help but feel pity for him. He was only 5 years old. Although he was still young, he had inherited the Heavenly Emperor's peerless bloodline and supreme talent. He matured much earlier than the average person and naturally understood the significance of the Heavenly Emperor's death. When he thought that he would never see his father again, he was extremely sad. His heart was filled with great fear and loneliness. It was as if he was the only one left in this vast world. Father, Di Yuan was also shocked. He took a deep breath and there was an extremely complicated look in his eyes. Although he was only an orphan picked up by the Heavenly Emperor and adopted by the Heavenly Emperor, the Heavenly Emperor treated him as his own son and had always taught him well. It was impossible to say that he was not sad. But the Celestial Emperor's death also made him heave a sigh of relief in his heart. At the very least, that plan could be implemented. "Brother Yuan, I don't believe that father will die." His father, Di Tianzong, was invincible in this world. There was no one who could kill him. "I want to find Imperial Father, I want to find Imperial Father," Di Hao said as he gripped Di Yuan's arm tightly. Then, he gritted his teeth and turned to leave. Bang! However, at this moment, Di Hao felt a heavy blow on his back. He could not help but see darkness before he fainted. When Di Hao woke up in his sea of consciousness, he found himself tied to a cold stone pillar. The surroundings were incomparably dim. This was a secret room. Only the fluoride above his head sprinkled down a little bit of light. "It hurts," Di Hao's face paled as cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He saw the chains actually pierce through his collarbone, emitting a bone-chilling coldness. They bound him to the stone pillar, sealing his cultivation so that he couldn't move at all. Buzz! There was a crisp sound of a sword ringing. The darkness in front of Di Hao slowly dispersed. A figure in white, holding an ancient sword in his hand, appeared. His eyes were burning with passion. "Brother Yuan," Di Hao was stunned. The youth in white in front of him was Di Yuan. "Di Hao. Do you recognize this sword?" Di Yuan slowly turned around. His face was incomparably cold. He no longer had his usual smile and doting look. Instead, there was only a haughty attitude. "This is Imperial Father's Heavenly Tao Emperor Sword. Why is it in your hands?" Di Hao's body trembled as his eyes were filled with disbelief. According to the news, after the Celestial Emperor fell, the Celestial Emperor's seal was destroyed and broken into pieces. The Heavenly Tao Emperor's sword was also severely damaged. However, it had disappeared and no one knew who had it. Now, seeing the Heavenly Tao Emperor's sword in Di Yuan's hands, Di Hao was naturally in disbelief. Why? Because this is the sword nurturing pool of the Heavenly Tao Emperor's sword. The Heavenly Tao Emperor's sword is an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. Even if it was severely damaged in the battle and its weapon spirit was destroyed, it will still return to the sword nurturing pool. Do you understand? Di Yuan said plainly. Sword nurturing pool. Brother Yuan, what are you trying to do? Why did you tie me up? Di Hao's heart trembled as he asked Di Yuan. Because you have the complete inheritance of the Celestial Emperor scripture. Only your Celestial Emperor bloodline can activate the Celestial Emperor scripture and nourish the Heavenly Tao Emperor sword. How, can you give me your celestial emperor bloodline? Di Yuan smiled faintly. However, his smile was extremely cold in Di Hao's eyes. Even his voice contained a fluctuation that sent chills down one's spine. Di Hao's heart slowly sank. You want to kill me? Di Hao's voice trembled. No, no, no. To be exact, I want to take over your body. How? If I take over your physical body, your celestial emperor bloodline, the celestial emperor scripture, and the heavenly Tao emperor sword, do you think I will become the true emperor? Di Yuan said with a smile. However, the content of his words made Di Hao tremble. Why? Brother Yuan, why are you doing this to me? If you want the celestial emperor scripture and the heavenly Tao emperor sword, I can give them to you. Why do you have to kill me? Di Hao stared at Di Yuan in disbelief as he spoke. His eyes were filled with anger and sorrow. His little face grew increasingly pale as his body trembled. It was as though he was going to faint at any moment. The celestial emperor had perished in the demon world. He had yet to recover from this grievous news. Brother Yuan, whom he was extremely close to and respected, actually wanted to kill him and take over his celestial emperor bloodline? Why? Why do you think? Why should you be respected by everyone just because you are the son of the celestial emperor? Why should I be bullied by countless people? Why should you be born with the celestial emperor bloodline? Why should your cultivation improve by leaps and bounds? Why should you be able to easily reach the realm that I have always dreamed of without any effort? Why should that old thing pass the celestial emperor's scripture to you but keep his mouth shut about me? Do you know how hard I worked? Do you know how much I suffered in order to gain his recognition? You don't know anything. You don't understand anything. However, you have obtained everything. Chapter 2308. But Father has been so nice to you. Why would you think that? Di Hao looked at Di Yuan's distorted face and was completely stunned. He suddenly felt that Di Yuan was a stranger. The brother Yuan who used to dote on him seemed to have disappeared completely and was filled with a sense of distance. Di Hao did not know why Di Yuan would think that way, but he knew that Di Yuan would not let him go today. Nice to me? Hee, do you think I will believe that? That old thing is already dead. Today, I will send you to see him. But don't worry, I will make good use of your bloodline and body. From today onwards, I will be the true emperor. Di Yuan's eyes were filled with a cold smile as he walked towards Di Hao slowly. Buzz! A small silver knife appeared in Di Yuan's palm. It looked extremely sharp and was shining brightly. Di Yuan's name was engraved on it. It was the sacred treasure that the Sky Emperor had given to Di Yuan. Di Yuan held the silver knife and slowly stabbed it towards Di Hao's heart. Puff! There was a flash of blood-red light, and the silver knife sank into Di Hao's chest. A bloody hole appeared, and golden blood slowly flowed out of the silver knife. Brother Yuan, it hurts. Di Hao's face was extremely pale. He was murmuring and his eyes were filled with a pitiful look. His cultivation was sealed. The silver knife seemed to contain a power fluctuation that could devour everything. It sucked out all the blood in Di Hao's body. A golden pool of blood appeared around Di Hao. It contained an extremely majestic power fluctuation. It was majestic and mysterious. After seeing the golden pool of blood, Di Yuan's eyes became heated. This was the blood in Di Hao's body. It contained the Sky Emperor's bloodline and the Sky Emperor's ultimate inheritance. It was like a key. Only the Sky Emperor's bloodline could open the Sky Emperor scripture and the Sky Emperor sword and control everything that the Sky Emperor had left behind. Di Yuan's expression was extremely cold. It was as if he did not care about Di Hao's life or death. All his attention was on the flowing golden blood. As Di Hao lost too much blood, his face was as pale as paper. His life force became extremely weak. He was like a candle flame in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. Father, Di Hao murmured, as if he had completely fainted. His thin body was curled up into a ball, looking extremely pitiful. At this juncture of life and death, perhaps only the benevolent smile and love of the celestial emperor could give him some warmth. Now is the time. Di Yuan carefully observed the changes in Di Hao's body. His expression was indifferent. When Di Hao's blood ran dry, his eyes flashed and he drew a talisman in the void. A black talisman turned into a mysterious devouring vortex and imprinted itself between Di Hao's eyebrows. Crack. Di Hao's forehead seemed to have cracked open. His sea of consciousness was vast and boundless like the starry sky. It was incomparably mysterious. Di Hao's primordial spirit was completely golden. It sat cross-legged in his sea of consciousness and emitted an impenetrable fluctuation. Wang. Just as the black rune entered Di Hao's forehead and was about to pull his primordial spirit out of his sea of consciousness, the void suddenly shook. Rumble. Blazing divine light gushed out. Di Hao's primordial spirit emitted an ancient and mysterious light. Its aura was vast and unparalleled. An ancient figure appeared. The figure was surrounded by endless chaotic light, as if it was the Lord of all spirits. It emitted an invincible aura that suppressed the heavens, causing people's hearts to palpitate. The real body of the celestial emperor. Di Yuan's body shook. His eyes were filled with fear and passion. He was afraid because the aura of the real body of the celestial emperor was too terrifying. He felt that just a wisp of aura was enough to kill him completely, leaving nothing behind. The passion was because this was the last real body of the celestial emperor. Not only did it have the inheritance of the celestial emperor's scripture, but it also had various insights and divine skills of the celestial emperor. If he could refine this real body of the celestial emperor, he would be able to obtain all of the celestial emperor's inheritance. Under the protection of the real body of the celestial emperor, Di Hao's primordial spirit had an impenetrable aura. It was as if no force could hurt him. Fortunately, I was prepared. Although the real body of the celestial emperor is powerful, you don't have the support of the celestial emperor's bloodline. You can't unleash the power of the real body of the celestial emperor. Di Yuan sneered. The runes on his palm shone brightly. In an instant, a black pearl appeared. It emitted a vast demonic light and its aura was extremely terrifying. It was as if it could destroy one's primordial spirit. Anyone who looked at it would feel their heart tremble. This was the soul fixation pearl. It was a supreme treasure that was given to Di Yuan by the Lord. It could separate one's primordial spirit and fix one's fate. It was extremely mysterious. Buzz! As the soul fixation pearl flew up, it turned into a black stream of light and landed above Di Hao's primordial spirit. Di Hao's sea of consciousness shook slightly. The soul fixation pearl sprinkled down mysterious rune boundaries and quietly covered Di Hao's primordial spirit. The real body of the celestial emperor seemed to be unable to sense any danger and slowly disappeared. How? Let me devour your primordial spirit. From today onwards, you and I will become one. I will be the real son of the celestial emperor, the future Yuan celestial emperor. Di Yuan's voice was extremely cold and slowly sounded. Rumble. A blazing blood-red light erupted from Di Yuan's body. Divine light bloomed between his eyebrows and his powerful primordial spirit instantly flew out from his sea of consciousness. It was like a blood-red sun that contained boundless vitality. Endless blood chi spewed out from his physical body and merged with Di Yuan's primordial spirit. His physical body turned into ashes at a speed visible to the naked eye. After devouring the essence of his physical body, Di Yuan's primordial spirit turned into a streak of blood-red light and instantly flew into Di Hao's sea of consciousness. Di Yuan's blood-red primordial spirit gave off the same aura as Di Hao's primordial spirit. It was like a clone of Di Hao's primordial spirit. It silently passed through the boundary of the real body of the celestial emperor and arrived in front of Di Hao's primordial spirit. Di Yuan's primordial spirit was filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. It looked at Di Hao's primordial spirit as if it had seen its prey. It was extremely excited and cruel. Brother Yuan, why did you do this? Why? Di Hao's eyes were filled with despair. He stared at Di Yuan and muttered to himself. Then, he painfully closed his eyes and 2 streams of tears flowed down silently. Crack. Di Yuan did not answer him. Instead, he charged forward and tore off an arm of Di Hao's primordial spirit and threw it into his blood-red mouth. His arms were eaten, then his legs, his torso, and finally his head. Chapter 2309. The moment Di Hao's primordial spirit was completely devoured by Di Yuan, the surrounding void shook and a vast and powerful aura erupted from Di Yuan's body. Di Yuan's primordial spirit had completely occupied Di Hao's physical body, replacing his primordial spirit and entering his sea of consciousness. Rumble. At the same time, a powerful feeling welled up in his heart. Di Yuan's primordial spirit shone brightly. The Celestial Emperor's true body appeared behind him, surrounded by endless chaotic light. It was like his protector, protecting him. The golden pool of blood beneath Di Hao's feet gushed out in an instant as Di Hao's body emitted a blazing golden glow. It turned into a golden blood mist and surged into his pores. From then on, Di Yuan had completely replaced Di Hao. In other words, Di Yuan was the real son of the Sky Emperor, Di Hao. Buzz. However, before Di Yuan could heave a sigh of relief, his primordial spirit suddenly trembled violently. The Sky Emperor's real body began to tremble as though it was repelled by his primordial spirit and was about to leave his primordial spirit at any time. What? Damn it! Di Yuan's face instantly turned pale and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not know why the Sky Emperor's real body would undergo such a change. According to his plan, the Sky Emperor's real body should have treated his primordial spirit as Di Hao's primordial spirit. How could this happen? Rumble. The Sky Emperor's real body trembled more and more violently. The terrifying aura was like an erupting volcano, causing Di Yuan's scalp to go numb and his mind to tremble. 10,000 Emperors sealing heaven spell. Seal him. Seal. Seal. Di Yuan's eyes suddenly revealed a pained expression. A jade-colored ancient talisman appeared in his palm. It contained a mysterious fluctuation of power. In an instant, it blossomed and turned into numerous talismans. They were as resplendent as a rain of light. All of them fused into the Sky Emperor's real body. The Sky Emperor's real body seemed to have been sealed by some terrifying power and finally merged with Di Yuan's primordial spirit. The 10,000 Emperors sealing heaven hex was a supreme opportunity that Di Yuan had obtained. It was one of his most powerful trump cards. However, he had no choice but to use it to seal the Heavenly Emperor real. After all, the Celestial Emperor's true body contained the Celestial Emperor's supreme inheritance. He couldn't just watch the Celestial Emperor's true body disappear. What's going on? Logically speaking, after forcing out Di Hao's Celestial Emperor bloodline and swallowing his primordial spirit when he was on the brink of death, I should be able to completely fuse with the Celestial Emperor's true body. Could it be? Di Yuan frowned. He could not figure out the reason behind this. Wang. However, at this moment, the space trembled slightly and an indistinct figure slowly appeared. His eyes were filled with sorrow and sadness. Di Yuan, from today onwards, our relationship is severed. It was a childish voice that was filled with sorrow. Di Yuan found it extremely familiar, and he could not help but raise his head abruptly. Di Hao. You. How are you still alive? Di Yuan's body trembled and his eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. The indistinct figure in front of him was Di Hao. At this moment, it looked like a combination of reality and illusion. It looked like the most basic form of the soul and it was staring at Di Yuan with sorrow. A mysterious vortex slowly appeared behind Di Hao. It was shapeless and it contained the fluctuations of reincarnation. It looked like it was going to suck Di Hao into it at any moment. I got it. The old man added a forbidden power to you. Your soul has become a forbidden soul. Damn it, your soul is mine. Come here. Di Yuan seemed to have thought of something and his body trembled. His eyes were filled with exasperation as he reached out to grab Di Hao's soul. Di Yuan, I'll be back. Di Hao took a deep look at Di Yuan. His eyes contained sadness, anger, determination, and calmness. His body exuded a nine-colored divine glow. In an instant, he turned into a flowing light and was about to rush into the reincarnation cycle. Come back. Your soul can only belong to me. 10,000 emperors soul-locking heaven fate curse, lock him up. Di Yuan roared furiously. Rumble. Unparalleled light bloomed from his palm. Divine chains of order traversed the void, and the laws of the great path descended, containing immortal and indestructible fluctuations. In an instant, they crossed the sky and entangled Di Hao's soul, wanting to lock Di Hao's soul and capture it. However, in the vast reincarnation, there was a sudden burst of power that could devour everything. It swallowed Di Hao's soul and it disappeared completely. Damn it! Forbidden soul, I must get the forbidden soul. Di Yuan, you can't run away. Di Yuan's angry voice resounded in the secret chamber and the void shook. Is this reincarnation? Father, I'm going to see you. Di Hao's forbidden soul was sucked into the reincarnation vortex and he saw many bizarre scenes. In the end, he became blurry and his body became transparent. Then, he exploded into a rain of light and it looked extremely dazzling. In the dazzling light, Di Hao's longing eyes turned into eternity in the reincarnation. It was as if he had an extremely long dream. The people in the dream were so real and the ancient world seemed to be something he had experienced before. It was incomparably unforgettable. Memories surged like a tidal wave and all the things of the past floated in his mind. Even if he had gone through 10,000 reincarnations and endless suffering, the most precious memories were still preserved. When Zhao Ritian slowly opened his eyes, he realized that tears had already flowed out of his eyes and were flowing down silently. So, my real name is Di Hao, the son of the heavenly emperor. Zhao Ritian mumbled to himself and slowly stood up from the dazzling light. The vast chaotic light around him surged and turned into a majestic life force, forming a new body for him. So, I died in the hands of my good brother, Di Yuan. Zhao Ritian's body exploded with an extremely powerful aura. In particular, the space between his eyebrows seemed to be emitting a dazzling divine light like a divine sun, causing the surrounding sky to rumble. So, my body is with Di Yuan. So many years have passed and the world has changed. The glorious era of the 9 emperors of the human race has passed and I still met you. This is a fated battle. Di Yuan, today I will take back everything that I once had. Chapter 23:10. Boom! Blazing divine light exploded in the sky. Vast great path precepts rose up like a boiling ocean. Monstrous waves rose up, and the momentum was extremely terrifying. 4 figures were directly sent flying. Their chi and blood were surging, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. In the middle of the dazzling divine light, it was as if a sun had risen. Ling Xiao stood in the air, and his aura was ethereal. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes exuded a peerless sharpness. Behind him, 12 dazzling divine rings floated out. They were like 12 small worlds, and they intertwined with each other. They were mysterious and unfathomable, and they made Ling Xiao feel as if he was invulnerable. How can he be so strong? The shaman king wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His arms were trembling, and his veins were bulging. Blood was everywhere, and his body was about to crack. His peerless sorcerer ancestor body was so vulnerable in front of Ling Xiao. The emperor, the undying prince, the shaman king, and the heaven corpse emperor prince had joined forces to fight against Ling Xiao. Now, they were faintly showing signs of being completely suppressed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's attacks were like a violent storm, and his power was endless. Even when facing the 4 supreme talents at the same time, he was not at a disadvantage at all. That's the aura of the 12 Sky Skills secret skill. He actually obtained the 12 Sky Skills secret skill. The Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince's eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The wordless heavenly book is indeed with him. The undying prince's eyes also revealed a blazing and fearful look. Ling Xiao's strength was far beyond their imagination. This battle was extremely fierce and difficult. The four supreme talents had unleashed their peerless combat strength, but they were still unable to defeat Ling Xiao. The 12 divine rings behind Ling Xiao were like 12 small worlds. They spewed out endless red light, containing the power to devour everything. It was as if they were going to devour the four supreme talents and completely turn them into nothingness. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. Tianzi stared at Ling Xiao, not bothering to hide the killing intent in his eyes. The stronger Ling Xiao was, the more he wanted to kill Ling Xiao. If he could get the wordless heavenly book from Ling Xiao and devour Zhao Ritian's forbidden soul, he would be able to reach the peak of the saint path in a short period of time. He would have a chance to enter the supreme god realm. If you want my wordless heavenly book, let's see if you have the luck to do so. Ling Xiao's eyes were indifferent. Blazing divine light rose from his body as he punched towards the four of them. The wordless heavenly scriptures shone brightly in Ling Xiao's spiritual sea. The mysteries of the 12 heavenly arts flowed through his spiritual sea, causing his fist to contain the strongest Tao rhythm of the 12 heavenly arts. Kill. Today, either he dies or we live. Don't hold back, kill him. The undying prince roared and charged at Ling Xiao. Boom. Blood-red light rose up around him as a vast and boundless life force erupted. Ancient inscriptions rose up from his palm, turning into a supreme blade of light in an instant. It slashed down towards Ling Xiao in a mighty manner. The blade radiance was mighty and contained the concept of endless growth. It was as if the undying prince had burned his own life force in order to perform this attack. His entire body exploded in the void and turned into a bloody mist that adhered to the blade radiance, turning the blade radiance blood-red. The blood-red blade radiance seemed to be able to break through the chaos. It contained a power that made everyone's scalp tingle. This is the forbidden technique of the undying heavenly blade. Ling Xiao, take a punch from me. The shaman king's body trembled as he recognized the undying prince's move. In an instant, bloody light rose from his body as if an ancient power had awakened. Crack! Ancient patterns appeared all over the sorcerer spirit king's body, intertwining into a mysterious totem. It was an ancient figure that seemed to have come from the chaos. It sang in the sky and created an ancient civilization of the sorcerer tribe. He threw a punch at Ling Xiao as the mysterious totem on his body shone brightly and gathered into a vast and mysterious power that merged into the punch. The sorcerer ancestor's fist. This punch contained the civilization and destiny of the sorcerer tribe and the inheritance of the sorcerer ancestor. It seemed to be able to pierce through the river of time and connect the 9 heavens and 10 lands. This was the ultimate power, and it was also a battle of life and death. Ling Xiao's gaze became serious. He could feel the heaven-defying power of the undying prince and the shaman king. Under this attack, if Ling Xiao did not die, they would not be able to fight anymore. This was an all-out attack. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. The blazing radiance was like a domain of blades and swords. He activated the power of the wordless heavenly book to the extreme and the power of the 12 sky skills at the same time. In the end, it turned into a terrifying fist print that fell from the sky. Boom! The chaotic light that filled the sky exploded like raging waves in the boundless sea. Ling Xiao's terrifying fist print collided with the undying heavenly blade. The blood-red light was blazing to the extreme. The undying heavenly blade trembled violently and broke through the layers of fist intent, leaving a deep bloody mark on the back of Ling Xiao's hand. However, Ling Xiao's punch was too powerful. In the end, it destroyed the blood-red undying heavenly blade. The blood-red light in the void dissipated without a trace. At the same time, Ling Xiao's punch did not slow down and collided with the sorcerer ancestor's fist. It was like a collision between ancient and modern time. It was a contest between the power of an individual and the power of a civilization. The fluctuation seemed to be able to destroy everything. With Ling Xiao and the Sorcerer King as the center, a vast vacuum was formed in an instant. Bang! A muffled sound came from the void. Ling Xiao and the Sorcerer King both retreated at the same time. Puff! The Sorcerer King suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His arms suddenly exploded. His whole body trembled violently and fell from the sky. Although he had unleashed the strongest power of the sorcerer ancestor's fist, he still could not bear such a terrifying power. His arm exploded, and all the strength in his body was drained. He no longer had the strength to fight. What a powerful fist intent! A trace of blood flowed from the corner of Ling Xiao's mouth. His eyes were full of shock. The sorcerer tribe was indeed the tribe that was best at refining their bodies. However, at this moment, the Heaven Corpse Emperor's son moved. He seemed to have been secretly accumulating strength. His body was surrounded by a black evil spirit. The fangs in his mouth and the wings on his back had all turned golden, exuding a power that could destroy everything. Whoosh! Chapter 23:11. The sky was filled with the afterimages of the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince, but each afterimage seemed to be real, so there was no way to distinguish which one was the real one. The Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince had chosen a good time. When Ling Xiao's fist collided with the Shaman Spirit King, it was as if Ling Xiao had taken the initiative to hit the wings of the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince. Kacha! Ling Xiao felt a sense of crisis and did not dare to be careless. His arm exuded a blazing golden light and suddenly swept behind him. Sparks flew everywhere, and the void exploded. Ling Xiao's arm collided with the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince's wings, but before Ling Xiao could do anything, the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince's wings suddenly slid open and slashed at Ling Xiao's neck again. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao's fists were like dragons, and each of his fists contained a vast power. They constantly collided with the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince, but the wings of the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince seemed to contain a wave of power that could break everything. Ling Xiao's arms, body, and neck were left with bloody marks, and a kind of black evil qi and corpse poison permeated the air, trying to enter Ling Xiao's body. The most powerful thing about the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince was not his combat power, but the Heavenly Corpse Poison. The Heavenly Corpse Poison was passed down from the blood of the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince, and it came from the Heaven Corpse Emperor. Even a saint had no way to remove the Heavenly Corpse Poison. The wings of the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince, after countless years of tempering, had become a top holy treasure. Even though Ling Xiao's body was strong, it was impossible for him to completely resist it, and he still suffered some injuries. The Heavenly Corpse baleful poison entered Ling Xiao's body, and soon his whole body turned black. His body became stiff, as if he was going to turn into a zombie at any time. What a powerful corpse poison! Ling Xiao's eyes were cold. The Heavenly Corpse Poison was so terrifying that even his devouring sky secret skill could not completely remove it. If it was someone else, there was no doubt that they would be dead by now. However, the wordless Heavenly Book was different from the past. After Ling Xiao obtained the 12 sky skills, the wordless Heavenly Book became a little different, as if it had begun to awaken and began to show a different mysterious power. With a move of Ling Xiao's mind, the wordless Heavenly Book shone brightly, and the Heavenly Corpse Poison began to be devoured by the wordless Heavenly Book. Kacha! But right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. An extremely terrifying power actually erupted from Ling Xiao's blood. It turned into blood-red chains of order in a single instance, binding Ling Xiao completely. It even forcefully sealed up his sea of consciousness. Tianzi, quickly kill Ling Xiao. The Undying Prince's voice came from Ling Xiao's body, sounding extremely anxious. It turned out that after the Undying Heavenly Blade had been shattered by Ling Xiao, the Undying Prince had used some extremely secretive method to sneak into Ling Xiao's body. When the Heavenly Corpse Poison had started to take effect, he had also made his move instantly. Those blood-red chains of order contained a vast amount of life energy, but they were completely different from the energy in Ling Xiao's body. They sealed all of Ling Xiao's acupuncture points, and even his sea of consciousness was sealed. You're courting death. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. He didn't even know when the Undying Prince had entered his blood. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body surged with a vast amount of divine light as the supreme power of the 12 sky skills erupted. The blood-red chains in his body seemed to be unable to withstand it and were about to break apart completely. Die! The Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince seized the opportunity. His eyes were overflowing with killing intent as he suddenly soared into the sky. His wings were like clouds that covered the sky, and an extremely terrifying power erupted from his body as he directly hugged Ling Xiao. Then, his golden fangs suddenly bit toward Ling Xiao's neck. Puff! Blood filled the air as the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince's fangs sank into Ling Xiao's neck and began to devour the blood in his body. Ling Xiao, die for me. 10,000 Emperor's soul-locking curse. The Tianzi gritted his teeth, and an extremely painful expression appeared in his eyes. An ancient rune rose from the palm of his hand, traversed the sky in an instant, and directly imprinted between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. This 10,000 Emperor's soul-locking curse was the Tianzi's last trump card. However, he was sure that even Di Hao, who was protected by the Heavenly Emperor's real body, could not withstand the power of the 10,000 Emperor's soul-locking curse. Although Ling Xiao was strong now, it was impossible for him to resist the power of the 10,000 Emperor's soul-locking curse. Rumble. The ancient and mysterious rune imprinted between Ling Xiao's eyebrows, and in an instant, a blazing divine light burst out like a mysterious line that spread toward Ling Xiao's body and bound him. These lines were the Great Path Law, and they spread toward Ling Xiao's body, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, and Ling Xiao's life providence, as if to completely seal Ling Xiao. In an instant, Ling Xiao suffered the most fatal crisis. Whether it was the Heavenly Corpse poison, the undying chains, or the 10,000 Emperor's soul-locking curse, even a saint or even a supreme saint could not resist. If an ordinary person was hit by these means, they could only obediently be captured and slaughtered. Not to mention, the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince was still devouring the blood in Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao felt that the vitality in his body was rapidly flowing away, and his whole body was about to fall into eternal darkness. No! I can't die. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of madness. I still have a lot of things to do. I still have to protect the most important people in my life. I haven't set foot on the peak of martial arts yet, how can I die in their hands? Ling Xiao shouted and screamed in his heart, and his eyes turned blood red in an instant. Boom! Boom! As if it sensed Ling Xiao's crisis at this moment, the wordless heavenly book shone brightly at this moment, blooming into a 9-colored divine glow that quickly spread toward Ling Xiao's body. The creation jade disc in Ling Xiao's mind also started to vibrate at this moment. Circles of mysterious Taoist rhymes started to spread out as though there were 3,000 great Taoists intertwining with each other. It contained an indescribable supreme power. The blood-red chains that wrapped around Ling Xiao's body were instantly broken, and the heavenly corpse poison was completely devoured by the wordless heavenly book. The seal formed by the 10,000 Emperor's spirit-locking curse was unexpectedly strong, and even if the wordless heavenly book and the good fortune jade disc attacked together, there was no way to break it. However, the wordless heavenly book and the good fortune jade disc were both supreme chaotic treasures, and under the suppression of the power of the two treasures, the 10,000 Emperor's spirit-locking curse was temporarily suppressed. Boom! A terrifying wave of divine light burst out from Ling Xiao's body, as if it was going to tear the sky apart, and the Shaman King and the others' faces changed drastically. Ah! The undying prince screamed, and his whole body flew out. More than half of his essence blood did not escape in time, and all of it was devoured by Ling Xiao. Only a small part of it escaped, and it reformed into the undying prince's appearance. The Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince also felt the changes in Ling Xiao's body, and he knew that this was bad. Although Ling Xiao's blood was so delicious to him, at this moment, he wanted to escape without thinking. Don't you want to suck my blood? Then stay and suck as much as you want. Ling Xiao's cold voice suddenly rang in the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince's ears. Boom! Suddenly, a vast devouring power burst out from Ling Xiao's body, and the Heaven Corpse Emperor Prince could not pull out his fangs, which were still deeply embedded in Ling Xiao's flesh. Chapter 23:12 Crack. Ling Xiao's eyes were indifferent, and a terrifying power burst out from his body. He suddenly hugged the heavenly corpse imperial prince like an ancient giant bear. He tightened his grip on the heavenly corpse imperial prince's body. With a crisp sound, the heavenly corpse imperial prince's bones were broken. Even the power he had just gathered was dispersed by Ling Xiao. With the support of the textless heavenly book, the heaven-devouring secret skill erupted with a terrifying power fluctuation and began to madly devour the blood of the heavenly corpse emperor prince. The zombie clan sucked the blood essence of people, especially the blood essence of experts, which was irresistible for them. But now, all the blood essence of the heavenly corpse emperor prince had been devoured by Ling Xiao, and more than half of his life essence had been lost. His eyes were full of horror. Ah! No, the heavenly corpse emperor prince growled, and his eyes were full of horror and begging, hoping that Ling Xiao would let him go. It's too late. Ling Xiao's eyes were full of ruthless killing intent. If the textless heavenly book and the good fortune jade disc had not been completely activated at the critical moment, the heavenly corpse evil poison alone would have been extremely troublesome for Ling Xiao. Since they were already mortal enemies, naturally, Ling Xiao would not let him go. Boom! Under the heaven-devouring secret skill's crazy devouring, all the blood in the heavenly corpse emperor prince's body was integrated into Ling Xiao's body, and his whole body turned into ashes at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the primordial spirit of the heavenly corpse emperor prince could not escape and was completely devoured by the heaven-devouring secret skill. One of the four sovereigns, the heavenly corpse emperor prince, had died in battle. The Witch King had used the wizard ancestor's fist, and his strength had been greatly reduced. The immortal prince had lost more than half of his immortal blood essence, and his strength was less than 10%. In the blink of an eye, only the emperor prince of the four sovereigns had the strength to fight. You can even suppress my 10,000 emperor's spirit-locking curse? You really have completely refined the textless heavenly book. The emperor prince's expression was very ugly, and he stared at Ling Xiao in disbelief. You talk too much. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely cold. The blood essence of the heavenly corpse emperor prince poured into his body, and his strength soared. He almost completely broke the limit and became a saint. Ling Xiao suppressed the urge to break through. His body was surrounded by a bloody glow as he punched towards Tianzi. The incomparably ferocious fist was like a chaotic mountain. That fierce and overbearing aura made Tianzi's face change as he hurriedly blocked it with his fist. Bang! The primal chaos light exploded, and Tianzi was directly sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. Ling Xiao was enveloped in a blazing golden light. Runes rose from his body, and the power of laws coiled around him. His eyes were incomparably sharp, and every move he made contained the power to suppress everything. Bang! 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 He walked towards the sun of heaven, his aura rising. Every step he took caused the sky to tremble. That terrifying aura swept across the land, exuding an invincible aura. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. Tianzi's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He had completely gone mad. Terrifying chaotic light rose around him as he launched an attack towards Ling Xiao. Boom! Ling Xiao kicked out, and the void exploded. The golden glow was dazzling, like a golden dragon emerging from the sea. It directly kicked Tianzi's chest, sending him flying once again. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as he turned into a golden lightning. His speed was extremely fast, and in an instant, he appeared behind Tianzi and directly grabbed his wrist. Tianzi was furious and immediately wanted to counterattack. However, Ling Xiao grabbed Tianzi's wrist, and a blazing lightning rose from his palm. In an instant, it surged into Tianzi's arm and rushed towards his body. The Heaven's Punishment secret technique exploded, causing Tianzi's body to tremble. The power that he had just condensed dissipated again. Ling Xiao abruptly swung Tianzi up and smashed him towards the ground. Boom! 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 Terrifying divine power erupted from Ling Xiao's body. He was like an enraged ancient giant bear. That kind of power could tear the heavens and the earth apart. When Tianzi was smashed onto the ground, it caused a loud rumble. This was the final battlefield. The surroundings were sealed by the great path divine chains of order. The ground below was made of some kind of divine metal, and it was extremely sturdy. Even such a fierce battle between the supreme talents did not leave any traces. Tianzi was smashed onto the ground by Ling Xiao. Instantly, his vision turned black, and all the bones in his body were shattered. It was as if he was going to turn into a meat paste. It was extremely miserable. However, the life essence in Tianzi's body was extremely majestic, and it flowed throughout his body, causing his injuries to heal rapidly. Ling Xiao swung Tianzi up and smashed him onto the ground. Soon, Tianzi was smashed into a bloody mess, and he was about to lose his human form. This is too miserable. Shaman King and Undying Prince looked at each other and saw the twitching and fear in each other's eyes. There was even a trace of despair in each other's eyes. Now that they were severely injured, they did not have the strength to fight again. Although they were rapidly healing, they could not fight Ling Xiao in a short period of time. They could only hope that Tianzi could defeat Ling Xiao. However, it seemed that Tianzi could not even protect himself now. The final battlefield was incomparably cruel. Everyone who came here was a peerless genius. If they wanted to become the chosen one, they had to defeat everyone and fuse with all the power of fate. Only then could they obtain the blessing of the myriad races and become the chosen one. Of course, they could admit defeat and give the fate energy to Ling Xiao. However, they had already offended Ling Xiao. Even if they were willing to admit defeat, it was another matter if the Ling Xiao department was not willing to accept it. Rumble. However, at this moment, the blazing light that originally enveloped Zhao Ritian suddenly erupted like a volcano, spewing out endless blood light. A vast and ancient aura erupted from it. An extraordinarily handsome figure stepped out from it. His body was extremely slender, and his skin was glowing. His black hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were as bright as the sun. He exuded an ancient and majestic aura, as if he was a supreme emperor who ruled over the life and death of all living beings. Anyone who looked at him could not help but kneel down. Zhao Ritian had awakened. The terrifying energy that erupted from his body was as if the energy of all the reincarnations had merged into one. It swept across the void, causing everyone to tremble. They could not help but look at him. Zhao Ritian. Shaman King and Undying Prince trembled, and their faces turned ghastly pale. Previously, Zhao Ritian had almost died in the hands of Tianzi. He had suffered unimaginable injuries, and his physical body had been destroyed. However, they did not expect Zhao Ritian to recover his peak strength so quickly. Moreover, the aura that Zhao Ritian exuded made their hearts palpitate. Ling Xiao, his life, is mine. Chapter 23:13. Ling Xiao could feel that although Zhao Ritian looked calm on the surface, his emotions were like turbulent waves that contained anger, sorrow, and other complicated emotions. It was obvious that Zhao Ritian and Tianzi had a grudge that no one knew about. Although Ling Xiao was curious, he did not say much. He nodded and said, "All right. His life is in your hands." "Thank you." Zhao Ritian nodded at Ling Xiao. "What a joke. Do you think you can kill me?" Tianzi's eyes turned cold as he said with an ugly expression. "Di Yuan, we haven't met for hundreds of millions of years. You have the title of Tianzi, occupied my physical body, and possessed my fate. However, you should know that you'll have to pay back what you owe me." Zhao Ritian said calmly, his voice cold. "Your physical body. Your fate. What a joke. Di Hao, I'm the real son of the Heavenly Emperor. If I devour your forbidden soul, do you think you can compete with me for the Heaven's chosen one?" Tianzi said angrily, his eyes filled with unwillingness. He did not expect Zhao Ritian to be able to break the seal of the 10,000 Emperor's soul-locking curse. He also did not expect Ling Xiao's combat strength to be so terrifying. However, he still had a chance. Now that Ling Xiao had stopped attacking, if he could kill Zhao Ritian quickly and devour Zhao Ritian's forbidden soul, he would be able to fight his way out of this hopeless situation. He might even be able to turn the tables around. As he provoked Zhao Ritian with his words, he was secretly looking for Zhao Ritian's weakness. He wanted to win with a single strike. Di Yuan, you were originally the adopted son of my father, the Heavenly Emperor. My father treated you like his own son. However, you were greedy and insatiable. When my father died in the demonic realm, you took my Heavenly Emperor's bloodline and stole my physical body and fate. You even tried to devour my primordial spirit. If it wasn't for my indestructible soul that was blessed by my father, I would have died in your hands. Today is our fated battle. My blood, my flesh, my bones, my life. Today, I'll take them back. Zhao Ritian stared at Tianzi and said slowly. What? Zhao Ritian is the real Tianzi. After hearing the conversation between Zhao Ritian and Tianzi, Ling Xiao, the Shaman King, and the Undying Prince were all stunned. To them, this news was simply explosive and unimaginable. Who would have thought that the Son of Heaven, who claimed to be the son of the Celestial Emperor and possessed the inheritance of the Celestial Emperor, was actually just a fake? And Zhao Ritian was the true son of the Celestial Emperor. No wonder Tianzi wanted to kill Zhao Ritian. I didn't expect Zhao Ritian to have such a shocking identity. It's just that since he's the son of the Heavenly Emperor, how did he end up in the War God realm? Ling Xiao was both shocked and puzzled. Many of his doubts had been resolved. Furthermore, after hearing Zhao Ritian's words, he did not expect the Emperor's real name, Di Yuan, to be such a vicious person. Di Hao, you're right. Today is the fated battle between us, but the result is, either you die or I die. Tianzi's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he instantly made his move. When Zhao Ritian was speaking just now, he had already seen Zhao Ritian's weakness. He believed that as long as he could hit that weakness, Zhao Ritian would definitely die. Rumble. Tianzi's body exploded with a vast amount of chaotic light. The Celestial Emperor's real body was completely activated by him once again. The Celestial Emperor's bloodline around him seemed to be burning, emitting a golden flame that seemed to be able to burn everything. The Celestial Emperor's fist, the human sovereign's sword, and the Celestial Emperor's seal appeared in front of Tianzi in an instant. They turned into a blazing light beam that could pierce through everything. It was like a light beam that could split the heavens and earth apart. Suddenly, it shot towards Zhao Ritian's sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Zhao Ritian's real body was occupied by Tianzi. Now, only Zhao Ritian's soul was Di Hao. As for his physical body, it was formed by Zhao Ritian's cultivation. Therefore, Zhao Ritian's primordial spirit was his biggest weakness. As long as he could injure Zhao Ritian's primordial spirit, he could directly devour Zhao Ritian's forbidden soul. Zhao Ritian's expression was very calm, and there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Rumble. Just as the dazzling light beam was about to hit Zhao Ritian's glabella, a vast light suddenly gushed out. The flipping sky seal exuded a powerful and ancient aura. It directly blocked Zhao Ritian's path and collided with the light beam. In the end, the light beam was completely annihilated. What? This is... Tianzi's body trembled. Looking at the cyclic sky seal in front of Zhao Ritian, he seemed to have recognized something and could not help but tremble. Emperor's origin, we haven't seen each other for hundreds of millions of years. For the sake of the Celestial Emperor's inheritance and the Chosen One convention, you have not made a breakthrough. This will be your biggest weakness. Zhao Ritian said indifferently. In an instant, he grabbed the cyclic sky seal. His body emitted a vast and terrifying aura. The cyclic sky seal was like a mountain that pressed down on Tianzi. The cyclic sky seal emitted a destructive energy wave that caused the surrounding sky to tremble violently. Tianzi felt his scalp go numb. He could vaguely see an extremely familiar figure in the cyclic sky seal. This is the ultimate emperor weapon, the Celestial Emperor's seal. Impossible. This is impossible. The Celestial Emperor's seal has been shattered into pieces and has completely disappeared. Tianzi's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he started to roar. Facing the cyclic sky seal, he felt a great sense of danger. In an instant, the Celestial Emperor's bloodline in his body erupted. He wanted to forcefully activate the Heavenly Tao Emperor's sword to resist the cyclic sky seal. He had long forgotten the rule of not using extreme Tao Emperor weapons in the final battle. Now, he only wanted to live. Celestial Emperor, strip! Zhao Ritian shouted coldly. Rumble. The Celestial Emperor's real body behind Tianzi started to tremble violently. The divine order chains on the Celestial Emperor's real body shattered and Tianzi's aura started to weaken at a speed visible to the naked eye. Extreme Tao, strip! Zhao Ritian roared again. The Extreme Tao Emperor weapon that was trembling in Tianzi's body suddenly shot up into the sky. It flew above the Celestial Emperor's real body without Tianzi's control and shone brightly. Bloodline, strip! With Zhao Ritian's third roar, the bloodline in Tianzi's body surged violently and started to boil violently. In an instant, it gushed out from the pores of Zhao Ritian's body. It was as vast as the sea and it gave off a dazzling golden glow. Flesh, strip! Zhao Ritian's fourth roar caused Tianzi, who was covered in blood, to tremble violently. In the next moment, his physical body exploded into a cloud of blood mist and left him. Ah! I can't accept this. I can't accept this, Tianzi roared furiously. His eyes were filled with disbelief and despair. He couldn't understand how Zhao Ritian managed to strip his bloodline and even strip him of the Heavenly Tao Emperor sword that he had refined for countless years. Fate, strip! Zhao Ritian's final roar shook the heavens. It was as if thunder was roaring and contained an unparalleled heavenly might. In the void, Tianzi's remaining primordial spirit let out a crisp sound. Dense cracks appeared on it and it looked as if it was going to turn into ashes at any time. Chapter 23:14. Ah! Spare me, I don't want to die. Tianzi's primordial spirit trembled violently and cracks appeared like a spider web. It looked like it was going to collapse at any moment. His eyes were filled with fear as he begged Zhao Ritian. The Heavenly Emperor true body, Heavenly Tao Emperor sword, Heavenly Emperor bloodline, flesh, bones, and fate were all taken away. All that was left was a trace of primordial spirit. Tianzi was no match for Zhao Ritian. He could feel the shadow of death looming over him and his soul almost left his body. He did not want to die, or rather, he was not willing to die. Over the years, he had gotten used to Tianzi's identity and status. As long as he took another step forward, he would be able to get everything he wanted. He had never thought that he would die in the hands of Di Hao. Back then, he had taken everything from Di Hao. However, Di Hao's undying soul had entered the cycle of reincarnation. Now that he had returned as Zhao Ritian, the two of them started a fated battle. Unfortunately, Tianzi was still defeated. You don't want to die. Back then, when you took my bloodline, my physical body, and swallowed my primordial spirit, did you not expect this day to come? Di Yuan, you can go to hell now. Zhao Ritian's eyes were extremely cold. They contained deep hatred and sorrow. The flipping sky seal rumbled and suppressed Tianzi's primordial spirit. It was going to crush Tianzi's primordial spirit into dust. No! Let me go. Someone ordered me to do all this. As long as you let me go, I'll tell you who it is. Tianzi shouted in fear. What? Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed. The flipping sky seal landed on top of Tianzi's primordial spirit and stopped. He had always had doubts. When the Sky Emperor fell, Di Yuan was only a sage-to-be. How could he have planned all this and even broken the defense of the Sky Emperor's real body? Moreover, after Zhao Ritian was sealed by the 10,000 Emperor's Spirit Lock Heaven Fate Curse, he would not be able to break the seal even if he went through 10,000 reincarnations. Where did Di Yuan get such a supreme treasure from? There was indeed a mastermind behind Di Yuan. Di Hao. Now that you have taken everything from me, I have been punished. As long as you let me go, I'll tell you who it is. Tianzi said anxiously. Speak. Who is it? Zhao Ritian stared at Tianzi and asked. To be able to plan all of this in the dark and even bestow a supreme treasure like the 10,000 Emperor's spirit-locking heaven fate curse to Di Yuan, this person was definitely not an ordinary person. Perhaps, this person was a supreme expert on the same level as the heavenly monarch. Supreme Great Emperor. You must swear to spare my life. Otherwise, even if I die, you won't know who I am. Tianzi made up his mind and insisted. Zhao Ritian, why waste your breath on him? Why don't I just swallow his soul and search his soul? At that time, I'll naturally know who the mastermind is. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Naturally, he did not want Zhao Ritian to let Tianzi go just like that. It was better for such a powerful and ruthless enemy to die. You. If you dare to let him do it, I'll self-detonate my primordial spirit. When that happens, you won't know anything. Tianzi's eyes revealed a hint of madness. Self-destructing his primordial spirit? Hee, the little D origin is in the hands of your second uncle. Do you think your life is still in your own hands? At this moment, an old and mocking voice rang out in the void. Wang. Translator, Transin editor, Transin the flipping sky seal shone brightly. Runes rose and an old man in a Taoist robe appeared. A mighty force pressed down. Suddenly, Tianzi's primordial spirit seemed to be suppressed in the void and could no longer move. Your second uncle. Tianzi's body trembled and his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. He could not help but exclaim out loud. My former nephew, I didn't expect you to know second uncle. I thought that a deranged beast like you who deceived his master and destroyed his ancestors would not remember anything. The old figure floated in the void. He was skinny and had a goatee. His pair of mung-bean eyes were filled with a sneer and mockery. Although he looked a little wretched and cunning, the aura that he emitted at this moment made everyone's heart palpitate. How can you still be alive? You're just the weapon spirit of the Heavenly Emperor's seal. Back then, the Heavenly Emperor's seal was shattered and completely destroyed in the demonic world. The weapon spirit should have been destroyed long ago. Why aren't you dead? Tianzi's body trembled as he spoke. The Heavenly Emperor had oppressed the heavens. He had two extreme Tao Emperor weapons in his hands. They were the Heavenly Emperor's seal and the Heavenly Emperor's sword. Although the Heavenly Emperor's sword was the Heavenly Emperor's personal sword, it was not the Heavenly Emperor's natal treasure. The Heavenly Emperor's seal was the Supreme Emperor weapon that the Heavenly Emperor had painstakingly refined when he was weak. Second uncle's identity was originally the weapon spirit of the Heavenly Emperor's seal. He had a deep relationship with the Heavenly Emperor. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the Heavenly Emperor's biological brother. The Heavenly Emperor was out fighting all year round. On the contrary, it was second uncle who often taught Di Hao and Di Yuan. Because of his carefree nature, Di Hao and Di Yuan addressed him as second uncle. However, no one remembered his real name. During the war in the demonic world, the Heavenly Emperor fought against 9 great Emperor realm experts alone. Although he had the Heavenly Emperor's seal and the Heavenly Emperor's sword, the Heavenly Emperor died in the battle. The Heavenly Emperor's seal was destroyed and the Heavenly Emperor's sword flew back to the Heavenly Palace and was obtained by Di Yuan. Tianzi did not expect second uncle to still be alive. Of course I'm still alive. If I'm not alive, how can I find Hao in the samsara? How can I seek revenge from you and take back everything that belongs to him? Di Yuan, you're ambitious and sinful. Do you still want to live today? Even if Hao agrees, I won't agree. Second uncle's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. It was obvious that he hated Tianzi to the core. Rumble. Second uncle exuded a vast and terrifying aura. The chaotic light in the surroundings surged and gathered toward him in an instant. It turned into a terrifying gale and surged toward Tianzi's primordial spirit. Every gust of wind was like the edge of a blade, containing a power fluctuation that could destroy everything. Tianzi's primordial spirit was swept by the gale. It was as if he was being cut into pieces. His body trembled violently and he let out a miserable cry. Ah! It hurts. Spare me, spare me. How? You'll die a horrible death. Even if I die, I won't tell you. Ah! Second uncle, I can't take it anymore. Give me a quick death. I'll tell you who it is. Tianzi's primordial spirit suffered unimaginable torture. However, the gale that swept over his primordial spirit was not fatal. It only destroyed his primordial spirit bit by bit and made him suffer unimaginable pain. Even the shaman king and the undying prince, who were hiding in the distance, felt their eyelids twitch. Their eyes were filled with sorrow. Chapter 23:15. Tianzi's cries reverberated throughout the final battlefield. However, Ling Xiao, second uncle, and Zhao Ritian all looked on coldly. No one pitied him. He was trying to atone for the sins he had committed. Even if he had to die 100 times, he would not be able to atone for it. In the end, Tianzi was tortured to the point of insanity. Even his voice had become much weaker. His eyes were filled with fear, unwillingness, and regret. It's the Emperor Tongtian. He ordered me to do it. Give me a quick death. Tianzi's eyes were filled with pleading as he finally said the name of the mastermind behind this. Right now, he only wished for a quick death. What? Second uncle and Zhao Ritian trembled. They did not expect such a familiar name to come out of Tianzi's mouth. Boom! Divine light surged around Zhao Ritian as he grabbed Tianzi's primordial spirit. A majestic devouring force erupted from his glabella as he began to devour Tianzi's primordial spirit and memories. Tianzi was about to go crazy from the torture. He did not resist at all. He allowed Zhao Ritian to devour his primordial spirit and see all the memories in it. Tianzi had died in such a tragic manner. When Zhao Ritian saw the memories in Tianzi's primordial spirit, his body trembled violently. The hatred in his eyes almost drove him crazy. He could not help but roar at the sky. Ah! The Emperor Tongtian, you and I are irreconcilable. Zhao Ritian's voice was filled with sorrow and endless hatred. It was very moving. Why is it the Emperor Tongtian? How could it be the Emperor Tongtian? He is your grandmaster. Second uncle said in disbelief. His voice was trembling. That's right. The Emperor Tongtian that Di Yuan mentioned was Zhao Ritian's grandmaster, the master of the Sky Emperor. The Emperor Tongtian was one of the oldest emperors of the human race. Before the Sky Emperor attained his Tao, although the human race was oppressed by the demon race and was extremely miserable, the Emperor Tongtian still protected many of the human race. He had a very high prestige among the human race and was known as the most sacred master of the human race. Back then, it was this Emperor Tongtian who discovered the Celestial Emperor's peerless talent and took him under his wing. That was how the Celestial Emperor rose to power and led the human race to conquer the world. The Heavenly Emperor was not the only one who was extremely respectful to the Heavenly Emperor. Second uncle, Zhao Ritian, and the others were naturally extremely respectful to the Heavenly Emperor as well. Second uncle had once guessed that the mastermind behind this was the great emperor of the demon race, but he had never thought that the mastermind would be Emperor Tongtian. Grandmaster? Ha! He is indeed my good grandmaster. If it weren't for him, Imperial Father wouldn't have died in battle. Not only was he the mastermind behind the Emperor's origin, but he was also the one who revealed the secret to the Devil Realm. That was why Father was trapped in the Devil Realm and died in battle. Zhao Ritian said sorrowfully. He slowly recounted everything that he had seen in the memories of Tianzi's soul. Emperor Tongtian was the master of the Celestial Emperor. After the Celestial Emperor attained his Tao, Emperor Tongtian gradually went into seclusion. He did not care about worldly affairs and focused on cultivation. However, one day, Emperor Tong Tian found Di Yuan and made use of Di Yuan's ambition to find an opportunity to kill Di Hao and steal Di Hao's bloodline and the Celestial Emperor's inheritance to become the master of the Heavenly Palace. Even when the Celestial Emperor attacked the Devil Realm, it was Emperor Tong Tian who leaked the information to the Devil Realm's Devil Emperor. That was why they had the opportunity to unite the 9 great emperors and set up a trap to attack the Celestial Emperor. After Di Yuan stole Di Hao's bloodline inheritance, he obtained the Celestial Emperor's scripture from the inheritance and gave it to Emperor Tong Tian. Emperor Tong Tian instructed Di Yuan to track down the whereabouts of Di Hao's forbidden soul. He told Di Yuan that only by devouring the forbidden soul could he be completely perfected. If he could become the chosen one, he could use it to reach the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. That was why Tianzi had sealed himself in seclusion. Every once in a while, he would come out to track down the whereabouts of the forbidden soul and secretly set up a trap. Until this time, when he was summoned by Emperor Tong Tian to participate in the Chosen One meeting. From the beginning to the end, although Di Yuan was despicable and crazy, he was only a puppet used by Emperor Tong Tian. Emperor Tong Tian is your grandmaster. He loved you the most when you were young. Why would he do such a crazy thing? What good would it do him? Second uncle said in disbelief. You'll have to ask him. Zhao Ritian said coldly. Ling Zhao's heart was also filled with emotions. He did not expect Zhao Ritian to have such a hidden and complicated background. Who would have thought that the Celestial Emperor's son was just a fake? Ling Zhao, if you spare my life, I'm willing to serve you as my master and never betray you. The Shaman King's eyes flashed as he suddenly said to Ling Zhao. Although he looked burly and muscular on the surface, he was very quick-witted. He no longer had the strength to fight. Moreover, he had seen the death of the Heavenly Corpse Emperor Prince and Tianzi with his own eyes. He knew that the best way to keep a secret was to let someone die. Since Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian dared to say so many things in front of him and the Undying Prince, it meant that they were already dead. Although the Shaman King was proud and arrogant, he chose to compromise in the face of the threat of death. Shaman King, you, the Undying Prince's eyes turned cold as he said angrily. Undying Prince, Lord Ling Zhao is a godly martial artist. Even the fake emperor was defeated by him. He's destined to be the chosen one and the master of the next era. I'm following him because I'm following the destiny. What do you know? The Shaman King interrupted the Undying Prince's words and sneered rudely. He knew about the grudge between the Undying Prince and Ling Zhao, so he did not hesitate to draw the line between him and the Undying Prince. You want to follow me? How do I know you won't betray me? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said with a faint smile. The Shaman King said without hesitation, Master Ling Zhao, I know you have your concerns. I can give you a strand of my life soul. You can control my life and death with just a thought. Can you rest assured? That's not enough. Ling Zhao said nonchalantly. However, in his heart, he was somewhat impressed. Regardless of whether this Shaman King had ulterior motives or not, the fact that he was able to endure such humiliation showed that he was not an ordinary person. He was a character. Master Ling Zhao, what else do you want? As long as you say it, I can do it. I only ask that Master Ling Zhao give me a chance to follow you. The Shaman King said respectfully. You can do anything you want. Then give me your proof of allegiance and kill him. Ling Zhao said calmly as he pointed at the Undying Prince. The Undying Prince's face suddenly changed. Kill the Undying Prince? Okay. As long as Master Ling Zhao agrees to let me follow you, I'll kill him. Chapter 23:16. Ling Zhao, you'll die a horrible death. The Undying Prince's face changed drastically. His eyes were blazing with anger as if he was about to devour someone. He knew that Ling Zhao would not let him go given the hatred between him and Ling Zhao. However, he did not expect the Sorcerer King to be so shameless as to betray him without hesitation. Swoosh! The undying prince did not even hesitate as he turned into a ray of light and tried to escape. Boom! Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent as a huge palm print came from the sky. It contained a power that could destroy everything as it came crashing down on the undying prince. The undying prince was already heavily injured and had lost a large amount of his life essence. At this moment, there was no way for him to block Ling Xiao's attack. He was directly smashed into a bloody mist in the void. The undying prince let out a miserable cry as his flesh and blood wriggled in the void as if he was about to reform his body. Kill him. I'll spare your life. Ling Xiao looked at the Sorcerer King and said indifferently. Yes. The Sorcerer King's heart skipped a beat as he gritted his teeth and charged towards the undying prince. He had been severely injured by the sorcerer ancestor's fist, but after a short period of rest, he had recovered some of his vitality. Now that the undying prince was severely injured by Ling Xiao again, it was naturally not difficult for him. He knew that Ling Xiao only wanted to prove his allegiance. Boom! The Sorcerer King exuded an ancient aura as he punched out. The undying prince's flesh and blood exploded again. The undying prince had the bloodline of the undying demon emperor and his body had the immortal substance. It could be said that he could be reborn from a drop of blood. As long as there was a drop of blood, he could be reborn continuously. However, this kind of rebirth consumed the immortal substance in his body and was not unlimited. The Sorcerer King was completely ruthless as he attacked ruthlessly. The undying prince's flesh and blood kept exploding and regenerating. However, in the end, it became slower and slower. One could even see a transparent primordial spirit, whose eyes were filled with fear. Ling Xiao, spare my life. I'm willing to submit to you. If you kill me, my father will not let you go. He is the lord of the demon world, the undying demon emperor who suppressed billions of creatures. You are no match for him. The undying prince roared fiercely. So what if it's the undying devil emperor? He has been severely injured by the 9 human thearchs. Right now, no one knows which rat hole he is hiding in to recuperate. Don't even think that he can save you. Go to hell. The shaman spirit king sneered and punched the undying prince. The undying prince exploded again. Crack. Under the repeated attacks of the shaman king, the undying prince was unable to withstand the destructive power. Even his soul began to crack, and in the end, he exploded. Rumble. The origin immortal painting flew out of Prince Undying's body and shone with dazzling light that surrounded him. The primal chaos void around him trembled as if it were about to shatter. Most of Undying Prince's flesh and blood had been destroyed, but there was still a part of his flesh and broken primordial spirit that was protected by the Daluo scroll. He wanted to break through the chaotic void and escape. The Daluo scroll was the Undying Prince's last resort. As long as he could leave the final battlefield, he would be able to escape. Trying to escape. Stay here. Ling Xiao's voice rang out. In the next moment, a dazzling beam of light shot out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. It emitted 9-colored divine light and instantly covered the sky. An ancient heavenly book appeared in the sky and pressed down on the Daluo scroll. It's the wordless heavenly book. The shaman spirit king trembled, and his eyes were filled with awe. This was the first time Ling Xiao had used the wordless heavenly book. Even the Daluo scroll seemed to be suppressed by the light of the wordless heavenly book. After all, the final battlefield had suppressed the power of an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Crack. Runes shattered one after another. Even the Daluo scroll could not protect the Undying Prince's flesh and primordial spirit. The dazzling boundary suddenly shattered. No, the Undying Prince's eyes were filled with despair. The last bit of his flesh and primordial spirit was instantly devoured by the wordless heavenly book. The Undying Prince's soul was destroyed. Congratulations, Lord Ling Xiao, for killing the Undying Prince and shocking the heavens. The shaman spirit king's face was filled with respect as he knelt down to Ling Xiao. Bang! The shaman spirit king gritted his teeth and slapped between his eyebrows. A strand of his natal primordial spirit floated out. It looked exactly like the shaman's spirit king and instantly flew toward Ling Xiao. He had shown his allegiance with his actions. As long as Ling Xiao refined this strand of his natal primordial spirit, his life would be under Ling Xiao's control. His life and death would be in Ling Xiao's hands. You're smart. Ling Xiao glanced at the shaman's spirit king indifferently. At that moment, he really had the thought of using the wordless heavenly book to kill the shaman's spirit king as well. However, the shaman's spirit king was so obedient that he had no reason to do so. Lord Ling Xiao, you're a genius. This time, you've won the title of the Chosen One. In the future, you'll definitely become an emperor and become the master of the next era. I'm willing to follow Lord Ling Xiao. The shaman's spirit king said respectfully. Very good. Your life is saved. Ling Xiao nodded and reached out to refine the strand of natal primordial spirit of the shaman's spirit king. Suddenly, there was a mysterious connection between the two. Ling Xiao could feel that as long as he willed it, the shaman's spirit king's soul would immediately disperse. The fate of the sorcerer tribe above the shaman's spirit king's head also surged toward Ling Xiao like a torrent. Rumble. Purple gas rose around Ling Xiao. Strands of purple gas were like divine chains of order. They shrouded his entire body and made him look even more mysterious. Above Ling Xiao's head, there seemed to be a purple galaxy with large stars floating in it. It represented the fate of all the tribes in the heavens. At that moment, all of it had gathered on him. Boom! Suddenly, Ling Xiao felt an incomparably majestic purple fate surging toward him. It was as vast as the sea, causing another bright star to appear in the purple galaxy above Ling Xiao's head. It emitted a brilliant light like the sun. The purple galaxy of destiny seemed to have been perfected, and it was filled with endless nobility. Zhao Ritian, you, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of surprise as he looked at Zhao Ritian. It was Zhao Ritian who had given up his human tribe's fate and given it to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, this is what you deserve. Thank you. Now that I've taken my revenge, my heart is at peace. You're the true chosen one and the true hope of the human tribe. Chapter 23:17. Should I call you Zhao Ritian or Di Hao? Ling Xiao looked at Zhao Ritian and asked. At this moment, Ling Xiao could not see through Zhao Ritian. He stood there with a slender figure and a handsome face. He exuded a dignified and mysterious aura from head to toe. His eyes were as bright and deep as the starry sky. Zhao Ritian had comprehended his past and present life. He had retrieved his bloodline of the Heavenly Emperor and became the true son of the Heavenly Emperor. The powerful aura he exuded made him seem even more invincible. For a moment, Ling Xiao was confused. Who was this Zhao Ritian? You should call me Zhao Ritian. Before the reincarnation, I was Di Hao. In this life, I'm Zhao Ritian. I believe that even if my father was still alive, he wouldn't care about this. Being the Heavenly Emperor or Di Hao is too tiring. I prefer to be free. That's why you should be the chosen one. The hope of the human race is on you. Zhao Ritian said with a smile. His eyes were unprecedentedly relaxed and open-minded. Zhao Ritian, are you giving me all the heavy responsibilities? That's too unjust. Ling Xiao said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Ling Xiao, Ritian is right. Without you, as the son of the Heavenly Emperor, he would naturally have to bear the responsibility. However, with you, you're more suitable than him. Second uncle nodded and said with certainty. Is it because I'm the successor of the wordless heavenly book? Ling Xiao asked. Yes and no. Second uncle said with deep meaning. Rumble. Just as Ling Xiao was about to ask more, the entire chaotic battlefield began to tremble violently. A vast and mysterious energy gushed out like a volcanic eruption. The destiny galaxy above Ling Xiao's head was dazzling. Large purple stars floated up and down, releasing endless light and heat like the sun. Don't resist. Then, the flipping sky seal began to spin and turned into a dazzling light, taking the shaman king into the world of the flipping sky seal. Although Second Uncle had once been the device spirit of the Celestial Emperor's seal and the flipping sky seal was also a part of the Celestial Emperor's seal, Second Uncle was no longer a device spirit. He had no intention of taking back the flipping sky seal and returned it to Ling Xiao. Chaotic light rose around Ling Xiao and the vast galaxy of destiny completely enveloped Ling Xiao. Then, he slowly disappeared in front of Zhao Ritian and Second Uncle. Second Uncle, what exactly is the Chosen One? Zhao Ritian asked doubtfully. Although he knew the importance of the Chosen One and knew that the Chosen One would obtain supreme opportunities and good fortune, he was still somewhat puzzled by such a title. After all, the Chosen One would only appear at the end of an epoch, and the Chosen One would be the most dazzling among the countless geniuses in the universe. Legend had it that as long as the Chosen One did not fall, he was destined to become an emperor and become the master of the next epoch. The Chosen One is the lucky one who is chosen by the heavenly way and is protected by the heavenly way. As for what opportunities and good fortune he has, it's a secret that no one knows. However, although Ling Xiao has become the Chosen One, he still has a great tribulation to overcome. Second Uncle lamented. You mean, the textless heavenly book? Zhao Ritian's heart skipped a beat. That's right. The textless heavenly book has been exposed. Moreover, Ling Xiao has killed so many emperors, supreme geniuses, and demon-like geniuses of the ancient tribes. I'm afraid many experts will take action this time to snatch his textless heavenly book. This is a tribulation in his life. If he can't overcome it, even if he's the Chosen One, he will still fall. Second Uncle said slowly. He saved my life. I have to stay and help him. Zhao Ritian said seriously. Even if you stay, it won't help. Although you have an ultimate emperor weapon, you're still too weak. You won't be of much use if you stay. Why don't you come with me to meet someone? If he's willing to help, he might be able to increase Ling Xiao's chances of escaping. Second Uncle shook his head and said. Who is it? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. You'll know when you get there. Second Uncle kept Zhao Ritian in suspense and did not tell him directly. Instead, he turned into a ray of light and entered Zhao Ritian's body. Zhao Ritian nodded and left the place according to Second Uncle's instructions. After Ling Xiao had become the Chosen One, the chaos battlefield had opened. All the seals and barriers were opened and they could leave the place immediately. What appeared in front of Ling Xiao was a turbulent chaos sea. The chaos sea was filled with fog and one could not tell the direction. There was no concept of time and space. Even the Great Path Order had been completely severed. What is this place? Ling Xiao looked at the scene in front of him suspiciously. He had been brought here by the galaxy of destiny above his head. There seemed to be no living beings here. The surrounding strands of chaotic qi could devour all life. Countless mysterious energy rays intertwined, forming all kinds of mysterious scenes that contained extremely terrifying power fluctuations. Ling Xiao could feel that if it were not for the protection of the fate energy around him, he would have disappeared completely in this terrifying chaos sea. Crack! Suddenly, a blazing lightning exploded in the chaos sea before him. It pierced through the chaos sea and split the endless chaos sea into two. Clear qi rose to the sky while turbid qi sank to the ground. Yin and yang were born from the opposition. Earth, water, wind, and fire stabilized the Great Path Order. The embryonic form of the world began to appear in front of Ling Xiao. This was the scene of the creation of the world. Ling Xiao felt as if he had returned to the beginning of the world. Before all living beings were born, he saw the mysterious scene of the creation of the world in the chaos sea. This scene was naturally extremely shocking to Ling Xiao. It was like he had experienced it himself. He felt the aura of the Khanate origin and the birth of the Great Path Order from chaos to calmness. He saw that at the beginning of the creation of the world, countless strands of Khanate qi were nurtured by life, turning into powerful chaotic god fiends. He saw that the chaotic god fiends could capture the stars and the moon. They were indomitable and possessed the power to destroy everything with a single move. However, due to various reasons, a great war between god-fiends and god-fiends broke out in the end. He also saw that the world gradually evolved and matured. The Great Path Order stabilized and all living beings began to be born. They multiplied in this world and gave birth to one civilization after another. He also saw that the world had multiplied to the extreme. Many world-shaking supreme experts had appeared, and they were not satisfied with the restrictions of the world. They began to leave the world and enter the Sea of Chaos to explore. There were even great battles that broke out one after another. In the end, the world began to decline. It was like the cycle of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The world collapsed, all living beings died, and everything returned to chaos. This was the cycle of a world. Chapter 23:18. Just as Ling Xiao became the heaven's chosen child and entered that unknown land, the ancient land of primal chaos underwent a drastic change. Rumble. 9-colored divine light filled the sky and dispersed the chaotic mist. Colorful celestial flowers sprinkled down, looking mysterious and ethereal. Illusory golden lotuses appeared densely on the ground like a golden ocean, incomparably pure and holy. Flowers rained down from the sky. Golden lotuses sprouted from the ground. This was a celestial phenomenon that would only appear when an almighty expert broke through. At this moment, such a phenomenon appeared in the chaotic ancient land, causing everyone to tremble involuntarily. The Chosen One has appeared. Who is it? Such a celestial phenomenon appearing in the chaotic ancient land was impossible even if someone had proven their Tao and become a saint. There was only one conclusion: the Chosen One had appeared. After the final battlefield appeared, only the 108 prodigies who obtained the ancient seal could enter the final battlefield to compete for the title of Chosen One. Now that such a phenomenon had appeared, it meant that the true Chosen One had appeared. The entire chaotic ancient land began to boil. Everyone's eyes were filled with incomparable anticipation, waiting for the Chosen One to appear. Legend had it that the Chosen One was a prodigy that led an epoch. They could lead a race to become the Epoch Lord and create a glorious and grand epoch. Countless years ago, the Demon Lord was like this, and so was the Celestial Emperor of this epoch. And this time, who would be the Chosen One? I saw someone come out of the final battlefield. He said, the Chosen One is Ling Xiao. An incomparably explosive piece of news came, revealing the true identity of the heaven's Chosen One. Ling Xiao. Who's Ling Xiao? That name is so unfamiliar. I thought the Chosen One this time would be the Son of Heaven or one of the princes of the demon world. Why is it this Ling Xiao? I'm not sure. What's Ling Xiao's background? Everyone was discussing animatedly, and their eyes were filled with incomparable doubt. Ling Xiao is Long Outyen of the War God Temple. His real name is Ling Xiao, but he's using the alias Long Outyen. This time, the Chosen One is him. Finally, a prodigy from the final battlefield spoke, revealing Ling Xiao's identity with a single sentence. Also, you don't know yet, right? The reason why Ling Xiao changed his name to Long Outyen was because he was afraid of exposing his identity. This name was taboo. He ascended from the mortal realm, and he has a supreme treasure with him, a chaos supreme treasure that almost caused a war between the human clan and the demon clan 1,000,000 years ago. Are you talking about that? That's right. It is the wordless heavenly book. Hiss, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They were completely stunned. What kind of treasure was the wordless heavenly book? The wordless heavenly book was one of the legendary 10 great chaos treasures. At the beginning of the era, the death of the Sky Emperor was related to the wordless heavenly book. It was originally under the control of the devil race, but for some unknown reason, it fell into the hands of the Scarlet Dragon War God 1,000,000 years ago, causing a great war. Thus, the great name of the wordless heavenly book resounded like thunder in everyone's ears. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to have such a great background. Not only did he become the Chosen One this time, but he also possessed the wordless heavenly book, a primal chaos treasure. I'm afraid Ling Xiao is in danger. He's a human clan, but not only is he the chosen one, but he also possesses the wordless heavenly book. I'm afraid the demon realm won't let him go. Some experts of the human race began to worry. The entire chaotic ancient land was in an uproar because of these two pieces of news. Everyone had their own ulterior motives. Some wanted to spread the news to the outside world, some wanted to track Ling Xiao's whereabouts, and some wanted to protect Ling Xiao. For a moment, the undercurrent was turbulent, as if a storm was brewing. Kacha. At the same time, the passageway to the myriad worlds in the chaotic ancient land opened. Those who were still in the chaotic ancient land were directly sent out by an irresistible force. The appearance of the Heaven's Chosen Child meant that the Heaven's Chosen Convention was over. The remaining people were naturally rejected by the primal chaos ancient land and sent out. News of what had happened in the chaotic ancient land spread throughout the universe. The demon realm. What? All 3 imperial princes are dead? How? How is this possible? In the depths of the demon realm, in a place shrouded in demonic light, dozens of powerful figures stood. Their auras were as vast and unfathomable as the sea. Every one of them seemed to be the embodiment of the great Tao, causing the surrounding void to shake violently. Their cultivation was extremely terrifying. The weakest one was a Saint King realm super expert. Every move of theirs was filled with mysterious Taoist rhymes. This was the core of the demon realm. The 10 sects of the demon realm, the various great emperor clans, and the supreme experts formed the Elder Council to rule the entire demon realm. At this moment, after hearing the news from the chaotic ancient land, they were all shocked. The demon realm is going to change. The Blood Prison Prince, Original Prince, and Undying Prince have all died in the chaotic ancient land. Although the 3 demon emperors are now in seclusion in the depths of the chaotic sea, once they hear the news, will be implicated. We have to catch the culprit and avenge them. An ice-cold voice sounded. His eyes, which were like blood moons, were filled with cruelty and fear. Ling Xiao. I didn't expect the wordless heavenly book that we've been tracking for so long to be in his hands. He's also the murderer of the 3 great emperors. He deserves to die. The most important thing is that Ling Xiao has become the chosen child. Have you forgotten about the heavenly emperor? In the next era, we can't let such a peerless figure appear in the human race. We must nip him in the bud. That's right. This person is the mortal enemy of the demon realm. Whether it's because of the wordless heavenly book or because he's the chosen child, he must die. But how are we going to kill Ling Xiao? Now, the chaotic ancient land is gradually closing. Although Ling Xiao is still in the chaotic ancient land, according to the records in the ancient books, the chosen child will directly return to his world, which is the realm of the gods. As long as we set up an inescapable net in the realm of the gods and closely monitor the void passage between the chaotic ancient land and the realm of the gods, we'll definitely find Ling Xiao's whereabouts. This time, let's activate the few spies in the realm of the gods. At the same time, send out a few great sage kings, one in the open and one in the dark. We must kill Ling Xiao and bring back the wordless heavenly book. Agreed. Agreed. No problem. Many powerful figures intertwined their divine thoughts and finally reached a consensus. Chapter 23:19. Ling Xiao sat in the sea of chaos as he watched the chaos split open the world before him. 12 mysterious halos revolved around him, making him seem like he had transcended everything. He was untainted by dust. Chaos, fate, karma, samsara, the 12 heavenly methods seemed to form everything in the universe. They were the cornerstones of the world. Under such a state, Ling Xiao's comprehension of the 12 heavenly methods increased by leaps and bounds. Rumble. Streaks of chaotic lightning appeared around Ling Xiao, intertwining with one another. They were like lightning dragons wreaking havoc. They contained an extremely shocking spiritual fluctuation, enveloping his entire body. At the same time, as Ling Xiao breathed in and out, the chaotic aura in the surroundings surged over, turning into strands of chaotic energy that began to refine his body and soul. The chaotic energy contained the endless laws of the world. Even saints would not dare to devour this energy directly, or they would directly explode and die. Only experts who had touched upon the realm of gods would be bold enough to refine chaotic energy, allowing them to cross the sea of chaos with their bodies. Now, under the support of the 12 heavenly methods and the protection of the vast fortune of the races, Ling Xiao began to be refined by the chaotic energy. He slowly transformed into an extremely wondrous state. His flesh and blood became translucent as strands of chaotic aura flowed through them. They gave off an ancient and eternal pulse. His bones originally shone resplendently with golden light, as if they had been cast from gold. However, they were now covered in a layer of chaotic aura, turning dark gold. Vaguely, there seemed to be inscriptions that appeared, making his bones even tougher. The biggest change was in Ling Xiao's soul. It looked translucent and flawless, like a Buddha sitting cross-legged in his sea of consciousness. However, as the chaotic energy surged in, Ling Xiao's soul actually collapsed. It shattered like a mirror immediately, exploding into a resplendent rain of light. The chaotic energy was vast and boundless, containing the power of destruction and rebirth. After Ling Xiao's soul shattered, it recovered very quickly. Every time a strand of chaotic energy surged in, Ling Xiao's soul would shatter. Even saints would probably go mad from the excruciating pain. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, was extremely calm. It was as if the Yuan spirit was not his at all. He calmly watched the Yuan spirit shatter and regenerate. He watched as the chaotic energy refined it. He watched as the flaws disappeared bit by bit, becoming truly flawless. In the end, Ling Xiao's soul shone with a gray luster. It actually seemed to possess a body, becoming tangible. However, the power hidden within was over 100 times greater than before. This was a type of refinement at the deepest level, and it was also a type of great fortune and opportunity. Although Ling Xiao had no idea where he was, he could vaguely sense that this was the land of the heavens, where the heavenly ways were born. The 3,000 origins of the ways gathered here, forming the heavenly ways. Originally, this was a place where no one could enter. Even great emperors would be rejected by the heavenly Tao, unable to take a peek at this sacred realm. However, Ling Xiao had received the blessing of the fate of the myriad races during the Heavenly Selection Convention, becoming the chosen one and entering this place in the end. Ling Xiao could sense that the vast galaxy of fate above his head had silently fused into his body as his body transformed. It had entered his flesh, bones, soul, and even heart. This was the fate of the myriad races, which could also be called the fate of the ways of the heavens. The fate of the myriad races had gathered in a single person, completely becoming a part of Ling Xiao now, becoming one with him. Ling Xiao felt warm and comfortable all over his body. It was as if all the shackles on his body had been broken, and all the shackles had disappeared. He was completely unrestrained, and he felt a great sense of freedom and joy. Ling Xiao could even sense that his affinity with the ways had become extremely high. He could comprehend the mysteries of the laws of the ways very easily. With the blessing of the ways of the heavens today, even if I enter the myriad worlds and territories of the myriad races in the future, I'll probably not be rejected or suppressed by the ways of the gods. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a look of understanding as he thought to himself. The myriad worlds were occupied by powerful races. Apart from the laws of the ways of each major world, there was also the fate of the race that suppressed them. For example, if the experts of the demons entered the gods' world, they would be suppressed by the fate of the humans in the gods' world. The strength they could unleash would be greatly reduced, and the stronger they were, the more obvious it would be. As a result, although the demons coveted the gods' world, they rarely sent experts there. In fact, they preferred to directly lure in the humans and bestow the bloodline of the demons to stir up trouble. However, with the blessing of the ways of the heavens, Ling Xiao would not be suppressed at all even if he entered the myriad worlds in the future. This was the most direct benefit of the fate of the ways of the heavens. As for the other mysteries, Ling Xiao would have to explore them himself. Rumble. As the chaotic energy tempered Ling Xiao, a dazzling light bloomed above his head. 3 immortal flowers of the great path floated out, sparkling and translucent. They emitted a dazzling and ethereal immortal light. 3 small figures sat cross-legged in the flowers of the ways of the Great Path. Their faces were similar to Ling Xiao's. The one in the center was real, the one on the left exuded an aura of vicissitudes, and the one on the right exuded a fluctuation of the future. They were heaven, earth, and human. At this moment, Ling Xiao had reached the great circle of the half-saint realm. He could become a saint at any time. My physical body is very strong, and the secret skill of the ancestral dragon has broken through to the ancestral dragon body. However, because I don't have the bloodline of the ancestral dragon in me, it's not the true ancestral dragon body. It seems that I'm very close to becoming a saint physically, but there's still a huge difference. However, with today's opportunity, there's a glimmer of hope. Perhaps I can use the chaotic energy to become a saint physically. Ling Xiao thought to himself as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao's physical body, primordial spirit, precepts, and heart force had all reached the great circle. Among the 4 of them, his physical body was still the strongest. He had always had the ambition to become one of the 4 saints in the past and present. Then, he would start with becoming a saint physically. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body emitted a brilliant light. He began to activate the wordless heavenly book and the sky-devouring secret skill. He took the initiative to devour the chaotic energy around him and integrate it into his flesh and blood. Strands of chaotic energy entered Ling Xiao's body. They were like blades that wreaked havoc in his body. The pain was like being cut into pieces. It was excruciating. However, Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with determination and madness. He quietly waited for the final transformation of his physical body. Chapter 23:20. The Saint Dao realm was a very mysterious realm. Ascending from the God realm to the Saint realm wasn't inferior to ascending from the mortal realm to the God realm, and it was even more difficult than ascending from the mortal realm to the God realm. In the universe, the mortal realm was naturally an insignificant ant that had just stepped onto the path of the martial Tao, whereas the God realm was considered the backbone and could barely be considered to have touched upon the Tao and the laws. Only the Saint realm was a true expert, an existence that suppressed the foundation. The Saint realm experts were always the most important in determining the strength of an ancient clan, a sacred ground, or even a race. They represented a powerful foundation and limitless possibilities. Only by stepping foot into the Saint realm would one have a chance to glimpse the supreme God realm, suppress the universe, and sweep through the invincible. The mortal realm, God realm, Saint realm, and Emperor realm. These were the 4 stages on the path of the martial Tao. Ling Xiao was now at the perfection of the Ascension realm, but strictly speaking, he was only at the God realm. If he wanted to surpass the God realm and enter the Saint realm, it would be a type of transformation for Ling Xiao, a type of evolution in the level of life. The path Ling Xiao wanted to take wasn't an ordinary path of the Saint realm, but the physical body of a saint. The reason the physical body of a saint realm was so difficult was because the strength of a person was limited, while the energy of the world was boundless. Whether it was cultivating the origin spirit, the laws, or the heart energy, they could all rely on the energy of the world to break through the limits, seize heaven-defying fortune, and comprehend the energy of the grand Tao and the laws. On the other hand, the physical body of a saint realm had to rely on oneself. One had to rely on nothing but the physical body to break through the restraints of the world. This path was bound to be the most difficult path, so since ancient times, the number of people who could achieve the physical body of a saint realm could be counted on one's fingers. It required great fortune, great perseverance, and great courage, and it was impossible for ordinary people to accomplish. Even though Ling Xiao had the ambition to achieve the physical body of a saint realm, he knew how difficult it was and how little hope there was. But now, he'd become the chosen one and come to this unknown place, and the vast chaotic energy allowed Ling Xiao to see hope. Rumble. The chaotic energy surged like a vast ocean as it ceaselessly washed over Ling Xiao's body. Every strand of chaotic energy was like a blade, extremely heavy, and it contained the chaotic laws of the Grand Tao. It made Ling Xiao feel as if he was being sliced into pieces, and he suffered endless pain at all times. However, Ling Xiao's expression was extremely calm. He was even immersed in this kind of cultivation. The pain of the physical body was more like a kind of spiritual enjoyment to him. The tempering of the chaotic mist made Ling Xiao's blood boil. Golden light coiled around his body, fusing with the chaotic energy and forming mysterious inscriptions. They moved through his flesh and blood, eventually imprinting themselves on his bones. The invasion of the chaotic energy was like a form of destruction to Ling Xiao's physical body, but it was also like a form of rebirth. Just like the flowers and plants that survived a storm, they would have a stronger and more exuberant life force. It was a kind of evolution in the level of life. Not only was the chaotic energy refined and guided in Ling Xiao's body, but it had also entered his soul. His soul was immersed in the boundless state of Wei, resonating with his body. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the chaos as his body continued to transform. His body was translucent like a glazed divine gold. The textless heavenly scroll flew out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows and hovered above his head. It radiated with an extremely powerful devouring force. Ling Xiao had completely activated the secret technique of heaven devouring. The vast chaotic energy in the surroundings surged towards Ling Xiao wildly. Ling Xiao was like a bottomless pit, not rejecting any of it. He devoured all the chaotic energy. The chaotic energy entered Ling Xiao's flesh and blood, penetrating deep into his bones, meridians, and soul. In the end, it changed Ling Xiao from the inside out. His body was extremely tough in the first place. It was translucent, without any impurities. However, under the tempering of the boundless primal chaos energy, Ling Xiao's flesh and blood actually leaked out traces of black qi. That was the Tao injury caused by the continuous battles. Although it was light, it would become a flaw that could not be healed over time. The chaotic energy was extremely violent and chaotic, but it was all round when it came to tempering Ling Xiao's body. Very soon, he began to shine with a pure light from the inside out. Crackle! 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 Ling Xiao's entire body crackled like beans being fried. His bones trembled and turned into a mysterious sound, making his bones even more translucent. Chaotic energy surged into every single pore on Ling Xiao's body. It was like the creation of the world. Earth, water, wind, and fire actually surged out, freezing the space there and forming a mysterious miniature world. The miniature world shone with divine light as auspicious vapors rose up. Various gods appeared, like the gods of creation. Their faces were extremely similar to Ling Xiao's. The gods chanted at the same time. Their voices intertwined with one another, becoming louder and louder. In the end, it was like a tsunami, forming a vast sound that made Ling Xiao tremble all over. His body seemed to form divine kingdoms one after another, translucent and translucent. A resplendent layer formed on the surface of his body, radiating with an eternal light. It seemed like dragon scales, but it also seemed like he had put on a layer of armor. It shone with a resplendent light, eternal and indestructible. From the inside to the outside, from the outside to the inside, his physical body and primordial spirit were transforming at the same time. Ling Xiao felt as if the great Tao had appeared in front of him and was within his reach. However, there seemed to be a layer of terrifying shackles in his body. As long as he broke this shackle, he would be able to touch the supreme great Tao and become a saint. This was the shackle of his physical body. Only by breaking the shackle could his physical body become a saint. Even though Ling Xiao's physical body was already extremely strong, he still felt that the shackle was like a divine chain of order. It wrapped around his body and firmly restrained the power of his physical body. The small world that Ling Xiao had opened up through his pores seemed to have been sealed, and he was unable to fully unleash its power. Break for me. Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly opened. In an instant, blazing divine light spewed out from his eyes. It was as if the entire chaotic void was completely illuminated. An ancient and mysterious sound came from his body. It was like a dragon's roar, like a tiger's roar, and also like the supreme sound of the great Tao that could split the world. It resounded through the sky. Rumble. The light around Ling Xiao's body was dazzling. Suddenly, a thick and ancient divine chain of order appeared. It contained an ancient and boundless aura. The shackle of his physical body that was originally illusory seemed to be real at this moment. As Ling Zhao's physical body released a terrifying divine power, the shackle of his physical body was also completely taut. It was as if it was going to break at any time. The heavens and earth shook. In this vast chaotic void, streaks of terrifying chaotic lightning suddenly appeared. They emitted a destructive aura that made one's scalp go numb. They directly blasted towards Ling Zhao.